Great. Welcome everyone to the Town of Greater Napanee regular session of council for the 28th day of April 2026. Just before we get started, I want to remind everyone that this evening's meeting is being live streamed via our YouTube channel. So welcome to the folks that are here in the body of our council chambers. Welcome to those at home that are watching this evening's meeting, and welcome to those that will watch us at a later date. It'll be stored on our YouTube channel for a long time, from what I understand. So it's always there to watch. Anyways, thank you very much. We'll call the meeting to order, and we'll start our meeting with our opening proceedings, which is the playing of our national anthem. I'll ask those that are in the body of the council chambers to stand, to remove their headdress, and honor the national anthem. Great, thank you, everyone. Look for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Moved by Councillor Norrie, second by Councillor Martin. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Councillor Davey.
We'll go item 8.4 through you, Mayor, in keeping with the theme.
Yep, very good. Thank you, Councillor Davey. When we get there, we'll ask you to leave council chambers, so thank you. Is there any other disclosures? Seeing none. Deputations, scheduled deputations, new items. I don't believe we have any. Deputations items on the agenda. I think we've got a couple of them. The first matter is a deputation by Heather Levy, ALTO-HSR. Heather, are you here this evening? Okay, come on up, Heather, and we'll give you the Reader's Digest version. Is how we're going to go through this. You'll see that there's a microphone in front of you. These are new microphones, so all you got to do is just push the button, but you don't have to hold it. So with these ones, you don't have to hold. So when the light's on, it's live. And when you're done talking, just push the button again, or the world will hear what you have to say under your breath. So welcome. We appreciate you coming this evening. So whenever you're ready, the floor will be yours.
Okay, I'm lit up. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Heather Levy, and I'm here this evening representing Save Stone Mills, a community group based just north of Napanee, within the area directly affected by the proposed Southern Corridor. I want to begin by acknowledging that this is not an abstract discussion for the municipality. The Southern Corridor runs through parts of Greater Napanee and through the surrounding communities that are already expressing concerns about what this could mean for their land, their livelihoods, and their future. What stood out clearly in your last meeting is that those concerns are well understood here. Council members spoke firmly and without ambiguity. We heard that this was something they were wholeheartedly against, and that the CAO's recommendation could not be supported whatsoever. Those positions were grounded in concerns about cost, agriculture, land fragmentation, and long-term impacts to communities. At the same time, it was acknowledged that there has been no support expressed from the community. So what emerged from that discussion was not division, it was clarity. Clarity that the project as it stands raises serious concerns, shared by residents and reflected by council. That is where the current recommendation becomes difficult to reconcile. Because despite that clarity, the recommendation before council includes expressing support for the project in principle and for a preferred corridor option, specifically the northern corridor, while also declining to sign on to a joint letter opposing the project in its entirety. If the concerns raised about the southern corridor are valid here, and they clearly are, those same concerns do not disappear simply because the route is moved elsewhere. They are transferred. The report notes that the northern corridor is more direct, more efficient, and would result in lower long-term operating costs with less disruption overall. But those are project-level considerations. They speak to how the project could be delivered, not whether it should be supported. And they do not address the concerns that were raised in this room. Recommending a different route does not resolve those concerns. It simply redistributes them. What we heard from council was not a preference between routes. It was concern about the project itself, and that distinction matters. If a municipality recognizes that a project raises serious concerns within its own boundaries, there is a question of consistency in recommending that the same project proceed through neighboring communities instead. This is not simply a technical decision. It's a matter of responsibility. The CAO's report reflects information gathered at a stakeholder meeting, including the perspective that the project is being advanced at a federal level. That context is important, but it does not require council to adopt that same framing. Even when a project is being advanced federally, the role of a municipality is not to adapt that to that trajectory. It is to communicate clearly and directly the concerns and perspectives of the communities it represents. There was also discussion about potential benefits, including the idea of a potential trail alongside the corridor. But without clear and detailed information, it is difficult to understand how that could meaningfully offset the kinds of impacts that were raised, particularly when those impacts are permanent and affect land, livelihoods, and ecosystems. A speculative benefit should not outweigh a defined impact. That said, it does not have to be framed as a choice between doing nothing and supporting the project. If council believes there's a better way to improve passenger rail service for the region, whether through enhancing existing Via Rail service, increasing frequency, or exploring higher performance rail options within existing corridors, those are perspectives council can also clearly communicate. Supporting better rail does not require supporting this project. So the focus comes back to clarity. Council has already expressed concern. The community has already expressed concern, and the decision itself has not yet been made. In that context, there is real value in ensuring that council's position reflects what has already been clearly expressed in this room, not as a preference between routes, but as a position on the project itself. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather. Just hang tight and we'll see if we have any, we're going to see if we have any questions or comments for you. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, just for a second. Council, do you have any questions or comments for Ms. Levy with respect to her presentation this evening? Seeing none? Easy peasy. Heather, just if you want to hang tight, we're going to have a further discussion later on our council with respect to this. So I just want to remind you that that's what's going to happen. So thank you, council. Look for a motion to note and receive the deputation Heather Levy, ALTO-HSR. Moved Councillor Shank, second by Councillor Hicks. If no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. Next matter, Deputation Hubert Hogle, CN Spur Line. Mr. Hogle, welcome. I know you've been here before. I don't know if you've been here since the new microphones, but once again, these microphones, you just got to push the button, and when the light comes on, it's live, and then you push the button to turn it off, so you don't have to hold it where you're speaking. So whenever you're ready, the floor will be yours.
So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This isn't on my speaking notes, which is only one page long, but this is the 59th year that I've been appearing in front of council in this building. I made my first appearance here in 1967 when I was a student at law with Joe Pierce. So next year, I expect a plaque. This is short. I'm usually short, I think. I'm blunt, and I'm usually blunt, and I'll be particularly blunt tonight. The market in scrap steel is like the market in many other metals, copper, gold, and the market in real estate. It's cyclical. It goes up and down in regular cycles. You can't predict when it's going to go up or down. If you could make a ton of money, but that's what happens. This is particularly true for railway steel. which is worth 2 or 3 times as much as ordinary scrap. In recent times, the value of railway steel in Canada has fluctuated between $250 and $550 a ton. Right now, it's at a low, about $275 per ton, I believe. And by coincidence, this corresponds to a time when we are heading into a municipal election. Now, you might ask, what do those two things have to do with each other? And my answer is everything. It's created an opportunity for creative use of the sale of surplus properties for nefarious purposes. This time to gain electoral support by diverting quickly 500 tons of valuable steel to a particular farmer before it goes up in value again, while it's at a low point. This is being promoted, in my view, in an obscene mad rush before this term expires, when it obviously makes better financial sense to leave the steel where it's been for the last 100 years. We don't have any urgent matter to sell it, and we should track the market and sell it at the most opportune time. The reason that this is happening is not hard to discover. We are now firmly into silly season. And that's that wonderful time when municipal politicians everywhere suddenly remember who sent them there. It's right and proper for politicians to be reminded periodically of where their duty lies. It's also right and proper for them to put their best foot forward and put themselves in the most favorable light. But it is obscene for any politician to divert the corporation's assets to his own customers or to obtain electoral support from a particular group. Those watching this meeting tonight will have to decide how to make sense of the mad rush to steer our recreation trail to a well-connected farmer when the price of scrap steel is at an absolute minimum. Viewers will have to ask who on council is driving this. They will have to ask what his motive is. They may have to ask why none of the rest of you on council have called him out. So much has been accomplished in this term of council, and I've been proud of this term of council. I've been proud to say where I'm from. It's been a long time since I've been able to say that. But this piece of chicanery has the potential to destroy the trust that you and your council have built up so carefully during the last 3.5 years. This is a huge step backwards for our town. It has the potential to negate all that council has achieved this term. This council spent $100,000 to restore the exterior of this building, and I am so proud of them for doing that. I'm so proud of everybody for doing that. Tonight, you plan to give away twice that much amount to an influential farmer who is sitting at the back of the room. The proposal on tonight's agenda will, beyond any possible doubt, destroy the only chance our town will ever have to connect to the vast Canadian trail system that exists beyond our borders. A number of very specious claims have been made by the farmer about the risk to his modest dairy farming operation by the use of the trail for recreation purposes. All of them are so ridiculous and so easy to demolish, which I've done many times. They're not worthy of my response here tonight, once again. No farmer or anyone else has dared to make a claim that he's threatened by homeless people because his property is opened up to people like me who like to walk and have walked through Frontenac Park, Bon Echo Park, Killarney Park, the Bruce Trail, many places. It is claimed that there's an alternate route. That's a monstrous falsehood. There is no alternate route. There never has been an alternate route. There never will be an alternate route. There's only one way to connect our town to the vast trail system beyond our borders. And that's the trail we already own. We paid $50,000 for it. The trail already has the roadbed. It has the drainage. It has the fencing in place. It also has, what's more important, the means of self-financing it once the price of steel recovers by selling the steel at an opportune time, using the model that has been replicated successfully everywhere across Canada that has been tried, except here. Only a fool would accept as a viable alternative the shabby handshake deal that is being offered for a small portion of the snowmobile trail along Goodyear Road ditch, less than 10% of what is needed. That's most of what I want to say. I do want to add a word about the staff. We have great staff here. They're smart. I believe they can see what's happening. It is clear that there's an attempt at least to recruit them into this nefarious plot. They're intelligent people. I can believe that they can see as clearly as I can see what is happening here. I would be shocked if none of them feel some discomfort about what they're being asked to do here. We've had a big turnover of staff in the past. We've got a good staff now. When you push staff to compromise their integrity, you risk losing them. There's lots of other opportunities around here. They all get Municipal World. It has a classified advertisement section in the back of it. And if we don't treat them right, they will start flipping open the pages to the back and they'll be looking for other opportunities. We don't want to lose them. That would be a big step backwards. Thank you for listening. That's all I have to say. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hogle. Just hang tight and we'll see if there's any questions or comments with respect to your deputation here this evening. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Hogle? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Calver.
Thank you, through your worship. First of all, Hubert, you hit a key point there. Beyond our borders. We're the town of Greater Napanee. We cannot control what goes on beyond our borders of Greater Napanee. Never have, never can. The trail you're talking about has never been a trail. Back in the day when it was first converted over to being the Cataraqui Trail system, it come in from the east. It headed west. It stops on the east side of Strathcona Paper. Why was that? Why did it never continue on? The cost of the rails, bang on the money. It's expensive to get rid of the rails. It's expensive to, or it's worth money to have them pulled. The downside is right now our staff, who you speak so highly about, have already gotten quotes to pick up this, get the rail picked up and hauled away for scrap. It's a negative equity. You say one thing, our staff tells us another. I'm sorry, I tend to believe the highly educated, smart staff, which you just talked about, that we have, the young staff we have that are very intelligent, your words. What really gets me is the fact that you and I both know, I've traveled that trail this winter, start to finish, and it ends at the Strathcona Paper, which is in Stone Mills Township. To come any further, it's got to go through Strathcona's property, has to go through Goodyear, has to go through the solar farm, and yes, it has to go through a couple of farms as well. We've already been confirmed that bridge has got to come out when the expansion of the 401 goes through. This council has done nothing but work towards trying to accommodate trails, which we now have an in-town trail loop set up that's going to be started on, worked upon this fall, hopefully completed by winter, maybe not till spring, but it's being worked on. We've now acquired land to be able to run up to, again, our borders, and hopefully Stone Mills will decide to pick up and come from our border and hook around to that Cataraqui Trail, because it sure would be nice to have that for a year-round access trail, whether it's walking, hiking, biking, or snowmobile in the winter. That's the reality of it. We're the first council that's come in 30 years to ever coming close to having anything done, and all you want to do is rip it apart. You want to come after me. You called me out publicly. So please have your ombudsman report done. I beg you, you've got to get that filed, I think, before the 1st of May. Please do that. And like I said on your page, I will await your apology, because, sir, I've done nothing to you ever. You don't like my family name and you don't like me, and I'm okay with that. But I just don't like people calling me out when they've got no reason to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Calver. Is there anything else?
Can I answer Deputy Mayor Calver?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Hogle.
First of all, I like you. I like your family. I even I believe, was appointed as your representative at in the last election. And I believe you've done good work here for the most part. I believe you would probably be a good candidate for the next election, and I don't oppose that, but you don't have to do this to try and steer the assets of the corporation, possibly as much as $250,000 if the price of steel reverts to where it was and where it will likely be at some time in the future, simply to get political support, because you have sufficient political support already, I believe, to be returned. So that's, I'm sorry, I don't have my microphone on.
I didn't turn my microphone on, but yes, I did hear you very clear, Hubert.
All of those questions.
Mr. Hogle, just briefly, when you just have to push it when the light's on, you're good. You don't have to hold it. So,
Okay.
yeah,
okay.
there we go. Okay. Sorry about that.
Save my finger. Thank you. Yes, I have answered those issues. First of all, there's no roadbed. It doesn't go through the Goodyear property. There's no guarantee that we'll get approval from the people who own the property in Stone Mills. There's no guarantee that we will be able to connect to downtown Napanee or to the trail system south of 401. The proposal that's being put forward that you're advocating, that Milligan is advocating, does not have any way to get across 401 to the alternate route. And there is an ample way to get across as it stands now. Simply expropriate a small portion of land, just like the trail out there was expropriated when I was the town solicitor many years ago, and solved a whole bunch of problems. We have the right to expropriate. We expropriate a way in from Newburgh Road and get to the trail, and then we have the right to go there. That's been done many times, and it's been done on the Bruce Trail. It's been done on all of the trails along here when necessary. In most cases, councils or conservation authorities are able to get permission to do this from people who are conservation-minded, or farmers who don't need the land anyway. The Bruce Trail runs mostly on private property. But there's no way to get past Goodyear. This Milligan owns on both sides of Goodyear, and there's no way to get past Goodyear. So you'll have to go in the ditch. That's the only way around it. I don't imagine they're going to sell us 50 feet of land along there. And even if we do, it isn't a particularly attractive walking trail, whereas the rest of it is. It is quite interesting through there. The problem of how we deal with Stone Mills, I think that we can deal with that. I think we'll deal with it, and it's going through Stone Mills only involves dealing with two owners. That's the solar company and Strathcona Paper, or perhaps if diverting around Strathcona Paper through the farmer who owns on the perimeter, if necessary, expropriating it. But that's the matter. The Milligans and the Suttons have been to Stone Mills already, and I watched the video of it, and I felt that they had a sympathetic ear there, and I think they'll get a sympathetic ear, because I think Stone Mills is in some ways as progressive or more progressive than we are.
Thank you, Mr. Hogle.
Just one more.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Calvin.
Thank you, Hubert, through your worship. Hubert, what you say is somewhat accurate. The fact that you have nothing against me, that's fine. The entire fiasco has been carefully engineered by our deputy mayor in the back rooms of the town hall using closed meeting procedures and conceal what he is doing. Brian Calver's fingerprints are all over this, and it stinks to high heaven. Now, that was wrote by you.
That's right. That's right. And I'd say it again.
Yeah. So back to expropriation. Why was the land never expropriated back when they were doing the trail originally?
Well, it wasn't needed at that time because we had the overpass over 401, but it could have been expropriated at any time. You could do it today.
I guess my question is, why did the trail end at Strathcona and it never come any further at any point?
That was a decision that CN made at the time to sell it to the solar company and to Strathcona Paper.
Yeah. Your worship.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Cower. Councillor Hicks.
Thank you, through you, your worship. I'm going to ask Michael a question in relation to one of your statements, Hubert, regarding 500 tons. And Michael, can you just clarify for me the actual tonnage of rail steel and price?
Excuse me, through your worship, by my calculations, it's 105 pounds per yard rail at 2.2 kilometers in length. That equates to 500,000 pounds, which is 250 tons. So doing the math, can't remember exactly what that would be. Just shy of $70,000 on today's rates.
Okay. And that 2.5 kilometers is from Dairy Ave to the Stone Mills boundary,
2.2 kilometers is beyond the 401.
beyond just beyond. the
That's just
401.
that section,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry. Okay. Thank you. So in order to fund the in-town portion of the trail, which is phase 1 of the trail system that we are attempting to build here, the town needs to remove the rail on the Dairy Ave to Camden Road portion. Like, we need to remove that so that we can continue on with the work with a $4,000 deficit. We're going to end up paying $4,000 because it's not net zero, correct? Yeah. Going by memory on the report, which I've read many times.
I know.
There is a new
It's-
report today?
No.
I thought that was the one where,
There is a report. There's a very robust report. There's a number of robust reports that we're going to hear this evening.
okay,
I've been maybe a little too gracious in allowing what's happening here with respect to this deputation.
I just wanted
But-
clarification on the tonnage.
Yeah, and we'll get that, Ange. I know we're going to get that because we're going to have a very robust conversation later on this evening's report. I've purposely been a little more gracious with respect to the deputation process here for a reason, because it's important to our municipality. And that's why we've got a number of reports here this evening that we're going to have a very good conversation, and in all likelihood, we're not going to get through the agenda. So I just don't want to meld the two together, even though they're related, because the deputation is related to the matters that are on the agenda. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds with respect to the details that are in the report, because I think all those questions that we're going to have are probably going to be answered this evening. So if we can rail it back to, is there any questions with respect to Mr. Hogle's deputation at this point? We'll deal with them now. And if not, then what I'm going to do is ask Mr. Hogle to stick around for the reports that we're going to be hearing this evening, because I think there's going to be a lot of the questions that are out there will probably be answered. And if they're not, then we most definitely will have the ability to ask the questions that we need to ask. So we'll start off. First of all, is there anything else with respect to? Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Shank.
So according to the deputation, so Hubert, what I'm doing is I'm reserving all my comments for 8.4.
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So I have a ton of questions also, or could answer a lot of that. But on 8.4, there's an up-to-date costing for the steel, because what you're basing it on. So I'm just going to deal with the facts of the issue. And at 8.4, we'll have all the facts, and it'll be explained to us what it is, what it isn't, what can be done, what can't be done. There we go.
Yeah, and that's kind of why we're here and what we're doing. So we will, as I said, have an extremely robust conversation, I'm sure. We'll try and put to bed any information out there that may be accurate, may not be accurate, that there's questions. We've been at this for an extended period of time, and I'll be quite honest with you, we have employed members of the public to work for us with respect to the ad hoc committee. We've got staff that have spent countless hours preparing the reports that we'll hear this evening. So, and not just over this evening, but over the course of the last few months. So I encourage you, Mr. Hogle, to stick around if you've got the time. We will get to it right after we do some other housekeeping things that we have to do here this evening. And I think we'll have the conversation with respect to
Promise
the,
you I'll stick around.
railroad.
Hockey season ended on the 14th of April.
Perfect. So if there's nothing else, we'll look for a motion to note and receive the deputation of Hubert Hogle with respect to the CN Spur line.
Thanks very much.
Moved by Councillor Hicks, seconded by Councillor Martin. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. Next matter, correspondence items on the agenda. There is a number of items that we've received with respect to the ALTO high-speed rail Is there anything in those pieces of correspondence anybody had any questions about? I think they're fairly self-explanatory and fairly straightforward. But is there anything in those pieces of correspondence anyone would like to have any questions or ask about, Mr. Grant?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just point out that similar to the correspondence and comments and submissions that we brought to the ALTO consultation, all the correspondence has been forwarded to ALTO as well.
Great, thank you, Mr. Grant. I was going to ask that, but I knew that you were going to bring it up, so thank you very much. If there's nothing else, we'll move into unfinished business. For motion to not receive the correspondence items on the agenda. Moved by Councillor Hicks, second by Councillor Davey. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed, motion's carried. Unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? I don't believe so. Let's get just into the administrative consent agenda. And I guess before we get too far, I think Councillor Hicks, you're going to want to pull out a correspondence that is.
It was listed as item 11 on the correspondence received April 28th from Youth Hub.
From the Youth Hub. Okay, we'll pull that out and we'll do that after we do the rest of it, unless there's something else anybody else would like to pull out before we get going. But as we get going, we'll figure it out. So, okay, so we've got the regular session of council minutes for April 14th, 2026. Is there anything in that, those minutes, anyone, any questions, comments, concerns about? Seeing none. Committee minutes of Arts Advisory Committee, Waste Diversion Committee. Is there anything in those minutes that anyone had anything to speak to? Seeing none. The Arts Advisory Committee and the Waste Diversion Committee minutes of April 13th through the 15th, 2026. Is there anything in there? Seeing none. The correspondence for information is dated April 28th, 2026. I know we've got the one pulled out for Councillor Hicks. Is there anything in those pieces of correspondence anybody wishes to speak to? Seeing none. Proclamation flag raising request, Lupus Awareness Day, VON Week, Menstrual Health Day, and Pride Month. Is there any of those proclamations or flag requests that anyone had any comments, questions, or concerns about? Seeing none. Executive Services, Routine Disclosure, and Active Dissemination Policy. Is there anything in that anyone had any questions about? Seeing none. Executive Services, Corporate Communications Policy. Is there anything in the Corporate Communications Policy anyone had questions, comments, or concerned about? I know we've probably seen that one before as well. So, Executive Services Advisory Committee resignation. Is there anything in that anyone had any questions or comments about? Seeing none. Executive Services Class 2 Land Sale Bylaw. Is there anything in that anyone had any questions or comments about? Seeing none. Financial and IT Services Report, funding source for the preparation of a community improvement plan. Anything in that report anyone had any questions or comments about? Seeing none. Q1 2026 financial update. Is there anything in that financial update anyone had any questions about? Seeing none. Executive Services Activity Report, April 2026. Anything in the Executive Services Report? Seeing none. Growth and Infrastructure Activity Report. Anything in the Growth and Infrastructure Report that anyone had any questions or comments about? Seeing none. Parks, Recreation, Culture Activity Report. Anything in that activity report that anyone had any questions or comments about? Seeing none. Fire Department Activity Report, April 28, 2026. Anybody have any questions or comments about that? Seeing none. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Councillor Shank.
Did I scare you? There we go. I had to break this all up. Sorry. I think it's, we should make it a definitely, because it's barbecue season, it's getting a little bit, warmer and everybody wants to barbecue, that there is safety concerns. And if the public has any concerns about barbecuing or anything else like this, then contact Greater Napanee Fire Department, and Sean, our fire chief, will give you the correct person. But they have public safety, and it's a seasonal safety and spring fire safety. They have some concerns over it. It's just that a lot of times they go, I wonder how come the cobweb that's in the end of the filter, and how come you can smell it, but it's still igniting because the igniter's not igniting, and all of a sudden goes boom. You know what I mean? If people are not sure, that's the reason why we have a fire department, and safety is number one. There you go.
Great, thanks. Thank you, Councillor Shank. And just to add to that is that I know that the chief has been so gracious as to remove the fire ban because of the amount of rain and the greenness that we're starting to see this spring. So thank you very much, chief. So financial and IT services activity, April activity report. Anything in that report? Anyone have any questions or comments about? Seeing none. And of course, the Access E11 March 2026 report. Is there anything in that report that anyone had any questions, comments, concerns about? Seeing none. So we'll look for a motion to receive for information the minutes of the regular session of council dated April 14, 2026 to be adopted as presented. The Arts Advisory Committee and Waste Diversion Committee minutes of April 13 through 15, 2026 to be received for information. The correspondence for information items dated April 28th, with the exception of item number 11, which has been pulled out for discussion by Councillor Hicks. The council endorsed the proclamation, flag raising and band installation request for Lupus Awareness Day, VON Week, Menstrual Health Day, and Pride Month that council received for information, the Executive Services Routine Disclosure and Active Dissemination Policy Report, and further that council adopt the policy as presented, that council receive for information the Executive Services Corporate Communications Policy Report, and further that council adopt the policy as presented, that council receive for information the Executive Services Advisory Committee Resignation Report, and further that council regretfully accept the resignation of Liz Tussell from the Recreation Advisory Committee and set the committee size at 8 members for the remainder of the term. That council receive for information the Executive Services Class 2 Land Sale Bylaw Report. That council receive for information the Financial and IT Services Report funding source for the preparation of a community improvement plan report, and further that resolution 137/26 be superseded and that the preparation for the community improvement plan be funded through 2026 planning operating revenues, and further that should there be insufficient operating funds, the cost of the program will be funded from the General Stabilization Reserve. The council received for information the Financial and IT Services Q1 2026 Financial Update Report. And finally, that the activity reports for Growth and Infrastructure, Executive Services, Parks, Recreation, Culture, Fire Department, and Financial and IT Services for the month of April 2026. And the Access E11 report for March of 2026, items 7.12 through 7.17 be received for information. Moved by Councillor Shank, second by Councillor Hicks. If there are no further comments, questions, concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. And I'm thankfully going to turn it over to you, Councillor Hicks.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship, I know that all of my fellow council members and staff saw my email late last night. I apologize for the lateness. I was on vacation. And that's where I read the letter from Ted Parker, who is the executive director of an agency called Youth Hub. And I was quite dismayed to find out that they did not receive funding this year through PELUS to enable them to continue the Housing and Landlord Liaison program. This has been, from what has been outlined in Ted's letter to us, or to you, Terry, and thank you for sharing it with us. In April, and this is just for context for the public, in April 1st, 2024 to March 31st, 2025, 92, and these are unhoused individuals, 92 clients were served, 28 clients found permanent housing. That's pretty good. And April 1st, 2025 until March 31st, 2026, 53 clients served, 77 clients housed. That's very impressive. So when I read this letter, I confess I got a little hot under the collar. So what I would like to request is I'm going to put a motion on the floor that council send a letter to PELUS, Prince Edward Lennox and Addington Social Services, and or County Council, requesting clarity on how funding allocation decisions are being made and how homelessness prevention programs are being evaluated so that the community has a clear understanding. Full stop. And we all see social media, the newspapers. The town needs to do something, something needs to be done. The unhoused and homeless population is continuing to grow. And this is a clear example of obviously something that was working and working well. And I would like to know, first of all, as a taxpayer, second of all, as a council member, why it was stopped. What took priority over a working and successful program. So thank you very much for indulging me.
Thank you, Councillor Hicks, and we'll have a bit of a discussion here. Let's see if they have any questions or comments. Mr. Grant, I know you want to weigh in. Go ahead.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Hicks, just a point of clarification. I think what I heard was the drafting of a letter to Pellis or so I'll just say Pellis and the County of Livingston Addington. And I think what I heard in your request was twofold. What was the decision-making around this specific issue? And what is the governance issue on decisions like this more broadly?
Go ahead, Ange.
If I may follow up, this council has had the benefit of a staff who is very transparent and very thorough. And when a recommendation is made, it's not just a recommendation to go with A. There's also an explanation of why B, C, and D weren't selected. There's an understanding, there's a very thorough, I have no problem understanding, reading, comprehending, pick your word, the reports that are given to this council by our staff. I don't know how staff made these decisions. I watched the Pellis meeting very late last night, but I think I got the gist of it. And what I got was there were 16 applicants and 13 were selected, but there was no mention to the board of who the other 3 were and why they weren't selected. I understand it's a question of money. There's a pot and only so many handouts can come from that pot. There's only so much to go around. But what was the actual reasoning that this, and I'm interested in this particular situation where it was left out after having 2 very successful years. So I don't know if the reporting or the evaluation criteria needs to be changed, but I couldn't find anything in the minutes. I couldn't see anything in the virtual meeting. So I'm just asking, I think we're owed some clarity on this as a council, as a major funder for the county and Pellis. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hicks. Is there anything else before I weigh in? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Gower.
Thank you, through your worship. Ange, I've too been inquiring about this, and as I sit on the Pellis board, the unfortunate part is there is only so much to go around, and as we've seen in some of our reports from our staff, we get a recommendation, and my address today was the fact, yes, we were given a recommendation of what is being presented, but we didn't know what was not being presented. The Morning Star mission here received a considerable big bump for our local homeless people, which took monies away from some of the other ones that we're getting, which, right or wrong, that's what's taken place. There was only $2,454,600 allocated this year. But you want to go back to the numbers. As of December 31st, 2025, Pellis has 92 people on our by name list and identified people experiencing homelessness. Out of those 92 people, 64 of them, 70% are living in Livingston County, all in Napanee. That's why there was a bump. Was it done right? Was it done wrong? It's tough to say, but yes, that is being addressed and it's being looked after, and I'm hoping to have more information for you, but that's the end to be. It was brought to us. If you watch the meeting, I sent you the link, and it's funny, you and I were the only one up sitting up past 11:30 working on this last night, but that's what I can give you. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Gower. Go ahead, Councillor Shay.
I'll reiterate what Councillor Hicks has said, that one thing with our staff, Town of Greater Napanee staff, you give the pros, the cons, and all the facts, so you can make an informed decision. All right, you give the reasoning why, you double check your through purchasing or RFPs or doing your analysis or anything else like that. And when you present it all to us, we know why this got turned down or why this was this and this is the best option and how come. Sometimes we agree with you, sometimes we disagree with you, but at the point in time, we have it's a democracy, and we have a robust, and there is no ill feelings or anything else like this. It's what's the best for the ratepayer. But apparently you weren't given all the information from the county, but I just must say that our staff here are, as far as I'm concerned, are doing a fantastic job in that way. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Shank. Is there anything else before I make a couple of comments? Seeing none, when I first received this correspondence, of course, I probably reacted the same as Councillor Hick did. My jaw hit the floor, and I was like, "What?" So I too went back and watched the meeting, and it would appear as though the decision was made to have the most significant. The ones that got selected were the ones that had the most significant impacts. And so I went back and looked at the letter. And I would really like to see the ones that had more significant impacts than in the year April 1st, 2025 through March 31st, 2026, where 53 clients were served and 77 clients were housed. Is there something more significant than that for this group not to get the funding? So that was of concern. I'll echo the concerns of Councillor Hicks with respect to how the decisions was made. But I guess I would also like to ask the question, if this group or this organization wasn't one that was selected, and the numbers that I'm seeing are so staggering, what has been put into place to make up the numbers that are in this report? Is there something that has been put into place? What's the plan? Because having 77 clients housed, that's a staggering number for the catchment area of both town of Greater Napanee and the county of Prince Edward County. So what has been put into place, or what other work is being done in order to make this up? Because if there's no other work that's being done to absorb these folks, and let's face it, the youth hab deals with children, and I know that people are going to say up to the age of 25, that's not really a child, but these really are the most vulnerable part of our community that's out there, and these are the ones that I think that with a little bit of extra help may not be unhoused for a long period of time. So if Councillor Hicks would be acceptive of that, I would also like to ask the question, what else has been put into place in order to absorb the void or the vacancy that's been left by not employing this group to find housing for people that are under the age of 25?
Councillor Hicks is more than willing to have a friendly amendment to her motion. And I'll leave it to Madam Clerk to find the wording that would capture everything.
Madam Clerk, I'll leave it in your capable hands. To maybe wordsmith that a little bit, but I'd just like to know what has been put into place. What's replacing this if in fact this group isn't going to be employed to find housing for our youth? What's been put into place to fill that void? Because like I say, I think we all realize is that if once a void occurs, it's pretty hard to fill sometimes. So I'll allow Madam Clerk to wordsmith that for me, and then we'll look for a motion, Councillor Hicks.
So through your worship, I believe the easiest is probably just to tack onto the end and further that councillor requests the letter also, or council direct that the letter also requests information on what alternate supports are being put into place to account for the loss of funding to this organization.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Clerk. I think that should probably cover it, so. And Councillor Hicks, you're going to make that by way of motion?
I will.
And do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Shank. Is there any further comments, questions, or concerns with respect to the motion that's on the floor? And is everybody aware of the motion that's on the floor, or do you want Madam Clerk to reread it? Okay, I think everybody's good. Call the question. All in favor of the motion that's on the floor? Opposed? The motion's carried. I think that gets us right into items for consideration. Executive Services, ALTO-HSR consultation follow-up report. And Mr. Grant, I think you're going to speak to that.
I am, and thank you, Your Worship. Council will recall that we had a brief discussion on the ALTO issue last council meeting, which was deferred until this meeting to accommodate the absent council members who had views that they wanted to express. As talked about at the last meeting, the task was to go to an ALTO stakeholder meeting to come back and to report what ALTO, which is a Crown corporation, with a specific mandate to deliver a high-speed rail project on a dedicated route. So that was the task that was completed. I think it's important to note that what was clear in that and that meeting and the research is on whether or not the project goes and the stops and that sort of thing. ALTO is not the decision maker, and this consultation has not a lot to do with whether or not the project is going to go. I will speak a little bit later if council wants to avail themselves of other avenues in terms of advocacy. That is a role that I, as Chief Administrative Officer and staff, should not be taking. We should not give you political advice, and we should not give you advice or recommendations that are politically motivated. So, but I will tell you what your options are. So the overall consultation process was designed to get opinions, a number of questions. It is not designed to get consent. So about the recommendations that I provided, so they're based on, as I mentioned, the direction to assess the ALTO consultation process. It is my sincere assessment after doing research on this, including the Prime Minister's major projects page, of which ALTO is on that page. ALTO is listed as a nation building project. They created the Crown Corporation to deliver on that project. And there is a private sector consortium which has been partnered with to deliver it. When the Prime Minister of Canada, when ALTO and others say that it is our mission to deliver this project, I believe them. I do. Now, whether or not I agree with it is irrelevant. I believe that they're going to deliver this project. I do. I can confirm that the correspondence and recommendations, both prior to that stakeholder meeting, including the presentation by Mr. Tom Dizelle, was delivered in writing and verbally to ALTO, as was all the correspondence on the docket this evening. I can assure you, ALTO is under no illusion about how the residents of Greater Napanee feel about the project. They have everything that we have. I appreciate that there's a lot of views on the project itself. And so if there was a desire to register concern or complaints, to try to negotiate a different route, those sorts of things, those should not be directed to ALTO. They should be directed to the Minister of Transport for the Government of Canada and to Parliament. They are the owner of the project. They are the decision maker. And so they are not involved in this particular consultation process. They have a Crown Corporation doing that. If council would like to register their concern, I would suggest you don't register through this process, not the deadline that they set of the 24th, because that would be a completely separate process. That would be you appealing government to government, elected officials to elected officials, to tell them we disagree with what you are doing and your political decisions, and we believe you should do something different. And that engagement should happen at the political level. And if there is some agreement on the parameters around that, typically what happens after that is both levels of government engage their administration to work out details. So with that in mind, I haven't seen any other information, factual information that would change my assessment that is their intention to deliver this project. I haven't seen anything. I will continue to look. I am interested to see if this project develops over time. If we get new information, my perspective and advice to you will likely change, but I haven't received any. And you have heard about the various perspectives of members of the community, and respectfully, that is your role, to take the facts that we give you and the sentiments and input from the community and render a decision and a perspective, and to have the organization take a position. And whatever council decides, that is the right decision. So with that in mind, I do believe that as a general principle, we should endorse nation building projects as a general principle. The fact of the matter is, the economy and the nation, we're in trouble. We really are. There is discussion about losing a standard of living over the next few years, and I think that's going to happen. I do. So on the issue of if council wanted to submit to the ALTO group on their consultation, which is about what is your perspective, I still maintain that in the information they've presented, the fastest, most direct route would be a preferable option with the options that have been provided. If council decides they don't like those options, that's okay. ALTO is not the group to register your concerns with. The Government of Canada would be the group to register your concerns with. With that, all other options remain the same as they did last week. And I am happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. I know that we're going to probably have a number of statements, and then I'll weigh in at the end. But I think who wants to start? Do we want to start with? I'd like to start with, and I know we'll ramp back and go back to the folks that were here at our last meeting, but I think I'd like to start with either Councillor Norrie or Councillor Hicks, only because you folks were the ones that were we wanted to make sure we got your opinion. So we'll start with you. We'll start with you, Bob. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Apologies for being on an island last council meeting, but there was no Zoom there. So, but anyways, I'm 100% opposed to the ALTO, but I do agree sending them a letter doesn't do any good. We should start with Shelby because she's against it. We start with our own government, but we register, we are opposed. I mean, I don't know any person who pays taxes that has contacted me is in favor of it. Not one person. I'm worried about, you talk about nation building. Well, we're going broke. Well, with all these things, we will go broke. I mean, they talk about this, they're spending money studying it, and I'm going to quote Bobby Kennedy in the 60s. Canada promises everything and delivers nothing. And we've been known for that around the world. And this is another form of that, but that's a whole nother thing. I would just like to say a hard no, and don't send the letter to ALTO. I'm opposed to you sending that, and I can appreciate your report. And I think we should do a strategy to other levels of government and minister and support the people, maybe get shirts and do our best to stop it if we can, because it's not fair to people out west who will never use the train and they're losing $90 billion+. So it's just wrong. That's my best thing. I'd rather see Via be improved, another track along that way or something. Just doesn't have to be high speed, but just more trains and start moving people more that way. But that's my opinion, and I'll stop here.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Norrie. And I'll go to Councillor Hicks. Go ahead, Ange.
Thank you through you, Your Worship. First of all, I'd like to thank council for deferring any further discussion until Councillor Norrie and I were back. I wasn't on an island, but I was out of the country. It was a family wedding, so I wasn't going to miss it. I am dead set opposed to ALTO North or South. Anyone that's asked me, I've been very upfront right from the beginning about that. There are better ways to build the nation than, as Councillor Norrie stated, focusing it all in one region, but to the detriment of the entire country, especially at $90 billion. And I think I read somewhere that they can build a new international space station on the moon. I think I read for $30 billion, but it could have been 60. But either way, $90 billion for high-speed rail for a very select group of people makes no sense, given the devastation that will transpire. I agree that Stephen McKinnon, the Minister of Transport, is the individual, along with Shelby, along with, for what it's worth, Rick Brzee as the MPP. Those are the people that should be contacted. And we can't just say no. It's better to say no and then provide a solution, not just say that there's a problem. So I think what was presented by Tom at the, I think it was March 24th meeting, what Heather has presented here tonight, I don't know if you've all taken the opportunity to read, look at the website that Heather included in her deputation. Wow, very informative and enlightening. And it just really solidified what my gut was, and that is that this is not the way we should be moving forward. So no to support on either route, and yes to supporting alternatives to improved passenger rail. Separate line, high performance, high frequency, pick your acronym, but high speed, no, and definitely not the routes currently proposed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hicks, and we will now take the opportunity to circle back. Go ahead, Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. Personally, I think we ought to keep this fairly simple. I always believed in the KISS system. Keep it simple, stupid. I'm totally against ALTO, whether it's a north route or a south route. And I think we ought to make it abundantly clear to the federal government and everybody that is involved in this, that we are not, there's nothing good that's going to come to this community by having a high-speed rail system. Only bad can come to it. And we can't just say that we recommend a north route instead of a south route. I mean, we're all in this together. Our communities are integrated. Stone Mills, Napanee, it doesn't matter what it's, we're all together in this. North, south, we don't need it. I would recommend certainly improving our rail system, our Via rail system that we have here, more stops and more frequency. But a high-speed rail system is just not going to benefit this community at all. There's not going to be any stops here. I doubt if there's going to be any stops in Kingston. It's probably going to go from Ottawa straight through to Peterborough, and there's no benefit to us here for that. The only bad things that can happen is we could have farm property expropriated, we could have roads cut off, we could have a number of things happen. Whether it's north or south, I just think we ought to make it abundantly clear we're totally against it. I don't like to jam up things by suggesting what the federal government should do or not do. This report is fine. I appreciate all the work that's gone into it. I certainly respect Mr. Grant for all the work he's done, and the meetings he's attended. But like I said, I just want to keep it simple. We don't want it. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Martin. Go ahead, Mr. Grant, and then I'll go to, I think, either Councillor Davey or Deputy Mayor Calver. So go ahead, Mr. Grant.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Just further to the councillor's remarks, Councillor Martin's remarks, it is not scheduled to stop in Eastern Ontario other than it goes to Ottawa and then goes to Peterborough. So the route, as I understand it, is Quebec City, Trois-Rivières, pardon my pronunciation, Laval, Montreal, Ottawa, Peterborough, Toronto. That is the route. I specifically asked the question, will you entertain other stops? And the answer was, at this point, they do not have the direction to alter the route. Any changes to the route would come from the Minister of Transport and the Government of Canada. Depending on where it goes, there will absolutely be disruption of infrastructure. There will absolutely be, let's say for the sake of argument, a southern route. It will go through farmland for sure, 100%. If the existing routes are the routes. So I appreciated you were sort of saying it may not. I can confirm for you, Councillor, in terms of the stop and the other elements, it will not stop here.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Councillor Davey, you want to go next?
Yes, through you, Mayor, I'll just double down, I guess, on my comments from the last meeting. The fact that I haven't been in support of this since the first time I've heard about it. The more information I get, the less support I have for it. Nation building projects should build the nation, and this one will tear things down. We can't afford it. Our children won't be able to afford it. Our children's children won't be able to afford it, and we'll watch it fall apart. There's lots of places to spend money to increase the efficiency of our transportation system, and there's been many opportunities presented to them. I hope they listen. I'm definitely in favor of the letter to the Minister of Transport. And I would also like to say, with a contentious issue like this, in the task you're given, Matthew, I appreciate what you brought through to us. Unbiased, unpartisan, fact-based, and that's what we asked. I know you've taken a lot of heat for it, and I hope people understand with a bit of context put to that it's not your position personally, it's your position that we asked you to take as an administrator of the town, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Davey. Deputy Mayor Calver.
Thank you, through your worship. Yeah, Matthew, Mr. Grant, I really appreciate everything you've done here. If you took a lot of heat on this for something we asked you to do. Again, I voted against both North and South Route on the County Council, and I would vote against both North and South Route here as Napanee Council. I've heard, I mean, I don't know how many emails I've received. I've received phone calls. I've lost track. I lost track after last week's meeting. There isn't a single person that's for this particular North or South Route in any community. We as the town, yes, we need to look after our town folks, the 17,000 people. We also need to look after our neighbors as well, and they've had our back. I strongly recommend, nation building projects, absolutely. Should there be another route that comes available that might make more sense? Possibly. But the two, what's presented right now, I just can't possibly support it. I would like, I'd like for council to send off a letter to the upper governments, for sure. That's where it should go. But signing a letter to support our neighbors, I don't see where that's a problem either. That's just my opinion. And like Councillor Davies says, it's not today, tomorrow, the next year. We're talking about our kids, and kids after that. Because $90 billion, we were just talking about some homelessness earlier. If we had half that, we could solve that issue for the majority of the country, or at least this part of it. So that's my 2 cents worth. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Calver. Mr. Grant.
So through Mr. Mayor to the Deputy Mayor. So the joint letter, that group indicated earlier this week they were going, or last week they were going to send it on the 24th. They wanted to meet the ALTO deadline. I don't know that the deadline is germane or directly related to what council has indicated they want to do here, because ALTO's deadline is the 24th. And this would be a letter to the minister not tied to those. But if you still wanted to reference the position of neighboring communities in the absence of being able to sign a joint letter, I would suggest referencing that in whatever materials that you send.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Councillor Shank.
Now I'd love to see their business plan where they come up with those type of numbers, but they've already currently spent $800 million on this feasibility study of the ALTO line already. 800 million. All right. They haven't expropriated anything or anything else like that. I concur with the rest of everybody else on council that, no, definitely against the northern route or the southern route. But when it comes to nation building, I mean, if they would take a portion of that and put their own refinery, because your groceries are more expensive, everything else is more expensive because everything goes by truck and everything runs by diesel. All the farmers run diesel, the cost of diesel. All right. If we have all the minerals that everybody out of the country always says we're mineral rich, why aren't we putting our own refineries on and have, a lower cost of, on fuel? Potash mines, you know what I mean? There's tons of things that we could invest. That 90 billion, which is going to be way above that when they've already spent 800 million. They haven't even put a shovel in the ground, So I'd like to make, I'd like to make motion that the municipal town of Greater Napanee does not support the northern or southern route, but we are a firm believer in nation building. All right. And the letter be sent on to the minister, and Minister of Transportation, Prime Minister, or whomever needs to know that So there we go.
Yeah, I'll have some options for you there.
All right.
Shank.
You got a better motion. There we go.
No, I won't say better motion, but I'll have some options for you. Let's put it that way. So, is there anything else before I weigh in? Okay. Thanks, folks. Initially, when I first heard this, I think it was probably at the county level. My first instinct was, this sounds like something a couple of guys with a box of beer around a campfire on a Saturday night thought up, because it really didn't make a whole lot of sense. As I dig further into it, as I listened to Mr. Grant's report, and I want to thank Mr. Grant for the report, because he was honest. He didn't sugarcoat it. He said exactly what has been relayed to him through the ALTO group, that from the Minister of Transportation, this is going ahead. There's not enough details to suggest how it's going to go ahead, but they're going to forge ahead. I think I've read more on trains in the last 3 or 4 weeks than I have in my whole life. I'm going to agree that I think we need to invest in nation building projects. And I'll get on my soapbox here a little bit, but we as a nation got lazy. We stopped building things. We stopped moving things. We become overly dependent on our neighbors. And we are now in the situation that we're in. And it's not very fun, and it's not very good. So I guess being the person that tries to take the positive out of all the negatives, is that I think we do have to start investing in our own nation. Transportation is integral to this country. It's been integral to this country for 150 or 200 years, and it's not going to go away for another 150 or 200 years. So I honestly, in my heart, think that we do need to start investing in ourselves, in our own country. What we've seen so far that has been presented to us, like I say, it doesn't appear to have had a whole lot of thought gone into it, but when you knock all the chaff off it and you look at the bare bones of what could happen, I think there's something that can be salvaged out of this, because I think our federal partners can probably do a better job. Our federal partners, as we heard from Dr. Tussell, I don't think he's too far off of something that can happen. It makes sense. And Ms. Levy as well. I know one of the groups that you're involved in, and I did a little bit of reading on that as well. There may be an opportunity to salvage something out of this. The 401 corridor is, it's been here for many, many years. It's got the bulk number of people living around it in the route that they want to go. I think there's an opportunity that something can be built that's going to provide the nation building process that we need. It's just going to take a little more work, a little more thought. My sense is that this thing is extremely fluid at this point. It just seems every time you turn the computer on, somebody's got a different idea, somebody's got a different plan, there's a different route. And maybe I'm a bit naive, but I'm confident that our federal partners are going to listen to what people are saying, that the initial layout or rollout of this thing is a little sketchy. But I've also said I don't think we should be throwing the baby out with the bathwater, in the fact that when you boil this thing all down, I think there is an opportunity that will present itself that will be beneficial to this country. And now I'll get off my soapbox. I'm going to agree with council is that the presented as is northern route and southern route don't make a whole lot of sense right now. But I think it's important, and I agree with Mr. Grant in this, is that politicians like to hear from politicians. And that's what I think we should do. I mean, we all know that the ALTO group is, they're the hired help. They're the ones that got paid to try and roll this thing out. And I think what's important is that we need to talk directly to the other level of government, and are we skipping over top of our provincial partners a little bit? Sure, because our provincial partners probably have about as much say into this as us. However, I think it's important that we deal directly with our federal partners. We let them know what we're thinking, what's possible. And I think we need to keep in mind that we do have some neighbors that are looking at this in a different direction, as maybe we should kind of keep in the back of our mind. You got the city of Kingston, you got Township, Loyalist Township, you got South Frontenac County or South Frontenac Township that are looking a little bit outside the box, where they say, maybe something could be salvaged out of this thing. So in my heart, do I think we need to look a little deeper into this thing? Absolutely. I think now that we seem to have our federal partners' attention, in the fact that, we got to start building stuff. We got to start to get this country back on its feet. You might want to rethink the thing that you rolled out, because, like I say, I've sat around many campfires with many boxes of beer, and we come up with a lot of good ideas like this until you wake up the next morning and then it didn't make a whole lot of sense. So having said that, I'll get off the soapbox again, and I do have a number of options for us, and I will read them out, and I'll let council decide whether or not you like what I'm reading. And if you don't, then you can tell me, and if you do, then you can let me know. So one alternate option is that council, the corporation, town of Greater Napanee support the government of Canada's nation-building agenda through construction of major projects designed to diversify the Canadian economy and shield Canadians from the impacts of the current trade dispute with the United States. That council openly oppose ALTO's northern and southern routes as presented in their recent consultation effort, as it only proposes to use Eastern Ontario as a throughway and offers no long-standing benefits to Eastern Ontario residents. That council encourage the government of Canada to focus their existing efforts away from pristine wilderness and productive farmland in favor of already disturbed transportation corridors such as the 401. That council encourage the government of Canada to use the ALTO high-speed rail project as an opportunity to provide improved rail services to citizens of Eastern Ontario, in addition to its focus on residents of Ontario and Quebec's major population centers. And that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Right Honorable Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada, the Honorable Steve McKinnon, Minister of Transportation, Martin Imblo, President and CEO of ALTO, Premier Doug Ford, EOWC members of Provincial Parliament, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Rural Ontario Municipal Association, and the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, and the Eastern Ontario Mayor's Caucus. That's kind of what I have. I'm not sure if everyone is either yay or nay on any of that, or if there's something else that we need to add, just let me know. So, Councillor Shank.
Yeah, I agree with it in most part. Is there any way we could add in, like, why not have an existing, because right now CP and CN own 99% of the rails, all right, and they want to use that rails for freight traffic, all right, that's the reason why we have such a delay on passenger traffic. So why not have an existing along that same route or somewhere in that same disturbed area? I just don't want to just say 401, but if you could say somewhere along the existing routes that we currently have, all right, that they can expand. Like if there's another rail line and you have two lines that are a rail and you want one for passengers, well, then make another one just for passengers along that same thing and just widen that route rather than, you know, building a brand new wheel. I just want to just give them just the opportunity that we're 401, just other avenues that they could possibly use.
Yeah, and I think Mr. Grant, he's going to weigh in on that.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I think if I heard, I would proffer the advice to council that you split the difference and you say already disturbed transportation corridors.
Yeah, and in what I read out, it sort of suggests such as, it doesn't say the 401, it says such as. So I think we can either just take out such as, or it doesn't indicate just the 401. And I agree with you, Mike, that if something is going to be built, it makes sense to build it in conjunction with the existing trail, because I mean, let's face it, anybody who's walked through the bush, it's a whole lot easier walking through the bush when somebody's already broke the trail for you. So, but I mean, we can take out such as the 401, but I know it's just use an example. So it's either or. If you want, we can. If not, then we can just leave it. So.
As long as the intent is, you know what I mean? Council Martin says, keep it simple. So I just want to, you get some politician and goes, oh, 401, they want 401, you know what I mean? So that's the only reason why I'm saying it.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything really simple in politics, to be quite honest with you, Mike. So did you want to weigh in, Mr. Grant? Go ahead.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I would just reiterate, I think already disturbed transportation corridors, we could, I would take out the 401 aspect of that if you wanted to, but that the 401 is a disturbed transportation corridor, former rail beds or current rail beds or transportation corridors. I think the intent of council would be clear there is don't put it through areas that have productive farmland or wilderness or anything else. Stick within the areas that have already been disturbed, and we can certainly make that clear in the drafting of a letter for his worship's review.
Great, thanks, Mr. Grant. I've crossed out such as the 401. Is Councillor Martin?
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Shank is right. It's not simple. It's all what you read. I would want to read any motion in writing before. Either that or you're going to have to repeat it 2 or 3 times to me before I vote on it, because some of the stuff in there I certainly don't agree with. I don't even know why we have to provide alternative anything. I think it's the most important thing is we need to express our feelings towards the ALTO rail and keep it simple. And we're not in agreement with it being north or south. And I don't see why we have to provide the federal government with any alternatives or anything else, but that's just my opinion. I'll let the rest of the council decide that as well.
Yep, thanks, Bill. And I know we're probably going to take a break here, so I'll let you read here what I have over the break if you want. So, Councillor Hicks.
Thank you, through you, your worship. I think it is important to show that we are not stonewalling, if that's the right term. I think it's important to show that we're open to alternatives, because the alternative would be of benefit to us. So if you just say, no, I don't want it, I don't want any of it, go away, get away from us, we don't want anything, then you leave yourself out of any future discussions on possible alternatives. Whereas if you show that you're willing to at least engage in an alternative because you don't like what's currently being presented, so I am in favor of what you have outlined, and yes, I would like to read it as well. Just one more time, maybe during break, so thank you.
Yeah, I've only got the one copy, so you have to take turns. So go ahead, Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. My concern is that we're just not, I didn't hear anything there about that we were going to support our neighbors, our fellow municipalities in this. That's in my concern, I want to make sure that everybody knows our feelings. Alternatives may be fine. I can concede that one, but I don't want to put a burden of a high rail system on somebody else just because we don't want it here. So I just want to make sure that we include the fact that we're supporting our neighbors in our resolution. That's all I want to see. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Bill. Deputy Mayor Copper.
Through your worship, would it be possible to split this up and have our vote that we are not in favor of the Alto Rail project in the north or south as presented, and then have another vote on what you're recommending, just to make it clear, or is that, am I asking too much there?
I mean, there's always an opportunity to break down into different, into two resolutions, I'm sure, Madam Clerk. I mean, we can, like I say, we can take one section out if you want to do the one resolution about not supporting the northern southern routes. However, also provide an opportunity that we're not completely adverse to nation building projects, whatever they may be, right? So I think, first of all, let's see if there's any other questions or comments. If not, we're at that break time anyways, and I think we'll take a break and allow everybody to kind of catch their breath. But is there anything else before we break? Seeing none, okay. We'll see you back in about probably about 15 minutes. So thanks, folks, and we'll be back shortly. Great, thanks. Thank you, everybody, for your indulgence. Continuing on with our discussion, I think we're at the point where we're going to make a couple of resolutions here. And council, I'll read out the resolutions and then we'll go from there. So first motion would be the council openly opposes ALTO's northern and southern routes as presented in their recent consultant effort, as it only proposes to use Eastern Ontario as a throughway and offers no longstanding benefits to Eastern Ontario residences. And Madam Clerk, do you want to do that one now and then we'll move on to the next one? So I think that one should be fairly straightforward. So moved by Councillor Davey, second by Councillor Shank. Is there any conversations with respect to that motion? Sorry, go ahead, Madam Clerk.
So through your worship, just on April 14th, there was some discussion about requesting that this motion be on a recorded vote. Is that still something council is asking for? Okay.
Yeah, no, we're just going to confirm it because that was what the discussion was on the last council meeting. So, and Madam Clerk, if there's no further discussion, what I'll do is I'll turn it over to you for the recorded vote with respect to that motion.
Ward 1, Councillor Shank.
Yes.
Ward 2, Councillor Hicks.
Yes.
Ward 3, Councillor Davey.
Yes.
Ward 4, Councillor Norrie.
Yes.
Ward 5, Councillor Martin.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Calver.
Yes.
Mayor Richardson.
Yes.
So that motion is carried unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on, we do have a possible second motion, and I'll read it, that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Greater Napanee support the Government of Canada's nation-building agenda through the construction of major projects designed to diversify the Canadian economy and shield Canadians from the impacts of the current trade dispute with the United States. That Council encourage the Government of Canada to focus their existing efforts away from pristine wilderness and productive farmland in favor of already disturbed transportation corridors. That Council encourage the Government of Canada to use ALTO Rail project as an opportunity to provide improved rail services to the citizens of Eastern Ontario, in addition to its focus on residents of Ontario and Quebec major population centers, and that a copy of the resolution be sent to the Right Honourable Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada, the Honourable Steve McKinnon, Minister of Transportation, Martin Imblow, President and CEO of ALTO, Premier Doug Ford, the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus, our local MPP Rick Brzee, our local MP Shelby Cramp-Nyman, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Rural Ontario Municipal Association, the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, and the Eastern Ontario Mayor's Caucus. And I think I've got everybody. Okay, does anyone want to make that by way of motion? Moved by Councillor Norrie, seconded by Councillor Martin. Is there any further comments, questions, concerns with respect to that motion? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Calver.
And can we get a recorded vote on that one as well?
Yep. Thank you. Madam Clerk, we're going to put you to work again, so whenever you're ready.
Ward 1, Councillor Shank.
Yes.
Ward 2, Councillor Hicks.
Yes.
Ward 3, Councillor Davey.
Yes.
Ward 4, Councillor Norrie.
Yes.
Ward 5, Councillor Martin.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Calver.
Yes.
Mayor Richardson.
Yes.
Also carried unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and I just want to thank council as well for all the work, and of course, Mr. Grant and your staff for the work that you put into this. We don't come across these complex matters all the time, and so when we're being asked to weigh in on nation building projects, like I say, I think we're out in some land that we're not normally into. So, but thank you once again for the report that you provided with us and the factual honesty of that report. So now we'll move on to Executive Services Overview of the Greater Napanee Trail Development. And we have Mr. Grant, we have Mr. Brown, and we have Mr. Nobes. And I'll let you guys figure out who wants to start. Whenever you're ready.
So thank you, through your worship. So we have a series of reports on trail development. as well as staff plans to fulfill the mandate which we were given when the town of Greater Napanee formally adopted the ad hoc committee on trails recommendations as town policy. So this evening, I will kick us off with an overview as well as a handful of recommendations. I will then turn things over to Mr. Brown, who will talk about the budgeted project as it stands for the development of in-town trails and associated procurement items in that. And then we'll turn it over to Mr. Nobes, who will discuss the CN Spur line and issues related to the land sale bylaw. So with that, council will recall that following more than 2 years of meetings, we adopted the recommendations of the Ad hoc Committee on Trails as official town policy. Those recommendations included that the town close a CN rail bridge across the 401, which has been done. And as has been previously mentioned, that bridge will be removed when the 401 is widening because candidly, it won't be big enough. That the town lead the construction of in-town trails. That the town consider alternate routes to the CN Spur line to reach the Cataraqui Trail, of which 3 routes were presented at the time of the ad hoc committee recommendations, with the preferred route being along Goodyear Road, and that the town create a working group for future trail development. Of those, the CN Rail Bridge has been acted upon. The construction of in-town trails has been budgeted, with the details to be discussed this evening. Alternate routes also to be discussed this evening. I would note that the committee did confirm verbally when I was meeting with them that council would likely need to reach a decision on what to do with the CN Spur line. And the ad hoc committee also confirmed that they could not reach consensus on what that decision might be. Tonight, council will hear recommendations on steps that can be taken to expedite the development of out-of-town trails, and that will be in my report. There'll be an overview of the budgeted in-town trail work and associated procurement and disposition that will need to be undertaken, and that will be Mr. Brown. And an overview of related recommendations to land disposition and acquisition matters will be Mr. Nobes. I would affirm for council that in carrying out this direction and the recommendations this evening, we have followed council-approved policy diligently and to the best of our ability. Essentially, we had rules of the road. We've done a lot of work around policy development and creating predictability, as was laid out in my mandate letter and those of senior leadership. And it is bearing fruit, as it has in this case, because it's in black and white. So these policies and bylaws include the procurement bylaw, the asset disposition policy, and the land sale bylaw. And we've applied our judgment on how best to meet the expectations laid out in these policies and bylaws, and those are before you today. So recommendations from me before we get to the other reports. In light of the discussions that occurred here tonight, I would ask council to consider the following to assist staff to have the ability to expedite out-of-town trail development. And if council saw fit to hold this until the end, until after you've discussed lands, I wouldn't be offended. But that council identify the route north of the 401 along Goodyear Road, identified by the Ad hoc Committee on Trails as the selected route to connect Greater Napanee to the Cataraqui Trail. Now, we have already adopted the Ad hoc Committee's recommendations that one of the alternative routes should be the route. And there was 3, and I would suggest we narrow that down to this route. That council authorized staff to identify an interim trailhead on the Goodyear Road route so that the town has the ability to establish a route connecting Greater Napanee to the Cataraqui Trail without having to wait for the completion of the 401 expansion project and the planning. Mr. Nobes has already been in contact with the MTO. They are aware that we have an interest in making sure that we have the ability to put pedestrians, cyclists, and utility infrastructure underneath that road. There are going to be a number of things. So that one would be if we wanted to start on that project prior to the construction of the 401, because that has always been the hurdle. We could do that with a trailhead and then connect it to the in-town trails after that. And that council authorized staff to enter into negotiations with the Ministry of Transportation to identify the underpass configuration on County Road 41 that will allow trail users to move past the 401. We've indicated an interest, but we have not begun negotiations, and we wouldn't do that without your authorization. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. As I'm listening to your presentation, I'm wondering if it wouldn't be prudent that we have the discussion that we're going to have with respect to this report 8.2 after we have the discussion of 8.4. Go ahead.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, as I referenced, and looking at that, I think it would be prudent. I do. And so if you wanted to hold that until after the fact, council could work out where they may or may not have consensus and return this to after the fact. And in hindsight, I would have put this at the end, and I appreciate you pointing that out.
It sort of becomes glaringly obvious to me that we don't want to put the cart in front of the horse before we have the conversation that would hook the cart up to, I guess is the best way to put it. So I think with, in order to do our due diligence on it, it would be advantageous that we have this conversation, 8.2, after we have 8.4. But if council's good with that, I think it would be prudent for us to bounce it down the list. Council, what do you think? Yeah? Yeah. Yeah, we can move ahead with 8.3. I like 8.3. It talks about the Intel Trail development, and I think that's something we can talk about next. But I just think that it's assuming the decision's being made in 8.4, and it hasn't been. And so, if depending on what the decision on 8.4 is, it makes 8.2 somewhat moot. So I think it would be to our advantage to move on to 8.3. We'll deal with 8.2 after 8.4. And I know it's a lot of numbers for everybody to listen to, but it kind of makes sense to me. So council, if you're good with that, Madam Clerk, what's the process for doing that? Can we just move it or defer it till after we do 8.4?
Through your worship, procedurally, we should probably just get a motion to amend the agenda order for debate and a motion on 8.2 to follow 8.4.
Moved Councillor Hicks, Councillor Martin, seconded. Is there any further comments, questions, or concerns with respect to that? If not, all in favor of the motions on the floor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, sorry, Mr. Grant, we're putting you on the bench. Mr. Brown, I think you're up next.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. So my report will focus on the in-town trail development project that is budgeted for and planned for capital projects in 2026. The Ad hoc Trails Committee was tasked with studying the feasibility of a connection that links the in-town portion of the former CN rail line to the development of an in-town urban loop. So the committee proposed a plan to move forward with in-town trail development by completing Plan A Phase 1 and 2, and that's what we have budgeted for. Plan A Phase 1, that is County Road 1 to the Riverside Cemetery Loop. The trailhead would begin at County Road 1 and Church Street intersection. It would head south on town land along Church Street, switch back in the field next to the cemetery grounds, which kind of looks like a figure eight, if you will. It connects in with the Riverside Cemetery using the existing gravel roadway and proceed back to Church Street, where the loop would use existing streets to head back to Dairy Avenue or continue a loop into the downtown area or head towards the Springside Trail. The width and distance, we're looking for a 3-meter width over a distance of approximately 950 meters. The surface of the trail, it would be classified under Ontario Trail Classification Guide as Type 1. The base would be crushed aggregate. Moving on to Plan A Phase 2, that is Dairy Avenue to the Crouse Street Thruway. So we are I've obtained quotes for rail removal from qualified contractors. We're looking to remove 1,400 meters of rail from Dairy Avenue to the 401 bridge. The trailhead will be established at Dairy Ave roadside, east of Doghouse Studios. We would remove the rail first, and then we would get on the trail, remove any overgrown vegetation, and then follow that with added aggregate and a base to finish that off. The trail would proceed from Dairy Avenue northeast to Industrial Boulevard, cross over the road and continue on the rail trail east to Camden Road, crossing again, and finally off the rail line to the Crouse Street extension that connects back to County Road 1. There is a map in the agenda as well, just for visual. Same thing, 3-meter wide crushed aggregate. When we look at rail removal, we have a summary here of the current cost and scrap value assessment. The approximate linear distance of the CN Spur line from Dairy Ave to the 401 bridge is about 1,400 meters. The estimated cost to remove rails, spikes, and plates is approximately $40,000. That's just for the in-town portion. Staff have requested quotes from several qualified contractors. We've received 4. It has not been easy to obtain these quotes. This is specialized work, so we did not receive replies from everybody that we reached out to. It is important to note that the very first estimate that we got was the cheapest to date, which is $40,000. The range, though, goes from $40,000 all the way to $255,000. So there's a huge range, and that is the same scope of work. There's a few factors in there. Travel, there's 2 specialized contractors that are out of province, so they've obviously have to factor in their travel. But it is important to note the first estimate that we did receive is the cheapest, and that's $40,000. So we've obtained those quotes. I want to mention now that in the procurement bylaw, anything between $10,000 and $50,000, staff have the delegated authority to go out and get 3 quotes. Council can always have a resolution to send that out to RFP, but because the first estimate that we got was below that $50,000 threshold, it was appropriate to go and pursue more quotes after that. The scrap value for this section is estimated conservatively at 131 net tons, which at $275 a ton equates to $36,000 in scrap value. Based on that information, the town would incur a net loss in the in-town segment, but it is necessary to remove that rail on that in-town portion if we want to create this in-town trail loop. We need to make sure that staff vehicles and equipment can get on that rail bed to do the work necessary to create this trail. With the rails in place, it's going to be awfully difficult, and we quite frankly haven't even figured out how we would do that with the rails in place. The other piece to that is that if the rails were not removed, we would have an added expense that is not budgeted for, because we would have to put a lot more aggregate down to safely bury those rails at a safe depth. So in context, for the full 3,600 meter length from Dairy Avenue all the way to the east boundary, again, you see the split, it's very similar. The estimated scrap value is approximately $85,400, while the projected removal cost increases to $90,000. So in both scenarios, removing the rails is going to either cost the town a little bit of money or, in best case, be revenue neutral. So with that being said, removing the rails, it will cost the town some money. Staff recommend only removing the rails in the in-town portion, as it's necessary to develop that in-town trail loop. As mentioned before tonight, the commodity prices between 2021 and now have significantly dropped. Below in the report here is just an example of that. Steel prices have dropped 63%. Hot rolled steel prices have dropped 59%. Iron ore prices have dropped 43%. And used steel prices have dropped 40%. So what Mr. Hogle said earlier tonight is very true. Those commodity prices fluctuate. We've actually even received some correspondence today that said that from that 275 per ton, it's actually gone up closer to 300. So that's good news. That should get us closer to revenue neutral as we remove the rails for the in-town portion. I have some alternative options based on this information. The first one is the recommendation: proceed with the project plan, remove those rails for the in-town trail portion, and pay any difference. We've budgeted very conservatively in our plan. The cost is included in the 2026 capital budget for this project. Alternatively, we could leave the rails in place, but as I mentioned, we're not quite sure how we would get our equipment on there, and that would come with an added expense that we have not budgeted for. The third option, we could defer this project and reassess at a later date should the scrap market improve. Moving into financial implications, that's just a snapshot of the capital budget. We budgeted $70,000 to create this in-town trail loop. Phase 1 materials, $46,000. Phase 2 materials, $19,000, and rail removal, $5,000 to make up your $70,000. There's in-kind internal costs. We plan to do this, other than the rail removal, we plan to do this entirely internally with town staff and equipment. Public Works will take the lead on this with assistance from park staff and cemetery staff as well. Project implementation would occur in the fall of 2026, likely mid-September. Staff and equipment are tied up with other capital works programs. Until then, would not be able to accommodate the project until fall season if we want to do it internally. Happy to answer any questions on the plan to build the in-town trails at this time.
Thanks, Chris. Who wants to start? Deputy Mayor Calver.
Thank you, Your Worship. So Chris, what is the cost of removing the in-town trail? I'm just trying to get this. There's a lot of numbers here, and I've had a lot of things going through my mind as I'm listening to your report. Just for them to come and remove the rail, maybe set it somewhere until scrap steel goes up. Is that an alternative? Is that something we can do, or is that them removing the rail and taking the rail and being gone with it?
Through Your Worship, so the cost to remove the rail for the in-town portion, the scope of that quote that we received from all contractors included removing the rail and taking it to our nearest scrapyard.
Okay, so that was them getting the profit from the steel.
No, so we would pay them $40,000 to remove those rails and deliver them to the scrapyard.
Okay, and then we would get the scrap value. What if they delivered those rails somewhere and we sat on those rails until scrap went up? Is that an option?
Through Your Worship, certainly that could be an option. If we told them not to deliver them to the scrapyard, but delivered them somewhere else close by, then that certainly could be an option.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Calver. Who wants to go next? Councillor Shank.
I'll just move staff recommendation.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Shank. I'll just ensure that if there's any other comments or questions that want to be made, and then I'll take your motion there. Is Councillor Martin?
I'll second Councillor Shank's motion.
Okay, well, let's put her on the floor and then we can still have the conversation. So I'll have a mover and a seconder, Councillor Shank and Councillor Martin, that council receive for information Parks, Recreation and Culture in-town trail development project plan report, and further that council approve the project plan to be completed in the fall of 2026. Is there Deputy Mayor Calver?
Yes, thank you, through Your Worship. Can I get a recorded vote on this, please?
Yeah, sure. Is there anything else? Yep, go ahead, Councillor Shank.
Sure, with commodity prices up, down, or everything else, and you know what, but for years, we're trying to make this town succeed and move ahead based on the facts. So the point is we have this internal trail system in here that we've been looking at for the last 2 years. All right. And we have it in the budget. We've got it budgeted. It's sad that, of course, the commodity prices for the steel aren't as high as they could be. But if it's revenue neutral and it goes to 300, and at the same time, we're getting something done and making the town go ahead. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So that's the reason why I'd like to get this on with.
Thanks, Councillor Shank. Is there anything else? And I'll just weigh in briefly. Go ahead, Councillor Martin.
Could I just add, Mayor, thank you. With Deputy Mayor's proposal about letting it sit, then we're going to be short $40,000 to complete the project. So we got a problem there if we do that. So I just wanted to point that out. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Martin, and both you and Councillor Shank kind of took the wind out of my sails, because that was the thing that I was going to mention, and the fact that sitting on rail prices is like playing the stock market. It could be a good day and the stocks could be up, and it could be a bad day and the stocks are down. But you're absolutely right in the fact that we're going to be out of pocket the $40,000 right off the hop. And to Councillor Shank's comments. I guess the sense of urgency with this is that we've been working very diligently to get these in-town trails built. And we've heard the community say we want green spaces, we want in-town trails. And I'll be quite honest with you, I didn't think we'd get to the point where we are, where we could build these things right now, because of the ground that we've covered over the past 3 years, we've done very well. So we're in that position to put some shovels in the ground, put some gravel on the ground, and get these things started. So, and of course, we all know that this is going to be a multi-phase project. We're not going to have it completely completed by this fall, but we're going to have the ability to now put maybe some street lights along this trail, to put some park benches, some garbage cans, whatever the other amenities are that we required. That we'll take some suggestions from the newly formed trail committee. So. If there's a sense of urgency, I think that's probably what the sense of urgency is in the fact that we've committed to our community that we're going to start to build these things, and with a little bit of good planning, a little bit of luck, maybe we were able to put some shovels in the ground. So in any event, if there's nothing else, I will pass it on to Madam Clerk. I missed Mr. Murphy. Go ahead, Nathan.
Through your worship, if council did want to hold, and I don't know how that would all play out, but we have the in-town portion for this year to be funded through DCs. So we could essentially hold that until the commodity prices went up and then sell at that point in time, and it shouldn't hold us back in the current year of completing the work that we had planned. Obviously at the wishes of council, but if that's something that council's looking to do, we would still be able to complete what was intended for this year through I think it was $70,000 we had to be funded through DCs. And then if the commodity prices did go up, we could cash in at that point in time, if that's council's wish. Just wanted to make everyone aware of that.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Go ahead, Ange.
Thank you, through you, your worship. So handle it twice, ship it twice. Where are you going to store it? I want to move. I'm in favor of moving on this. It's 300. By the time the rails are actually off the ground and on the flat deck, maybe it'll be at 350, maybe it'll be at 280, but at least we're moving forward. And then you're looking at staff resources, and where are you going to store it? Public Works, you got lots of room up there, Jeff? No room up there? Okay. Back parking lot, let's just get moving on this.
Mr. Grant.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, and to Councillor Hicks, we don't know the answer to any of those questions. Not really sure where we would put it. Not really sure if we'd have to handle it twice. Our recommendation, and we're not really sure what commodity prices would do. We don't know how long we'd have to handle it. So we wanted to make sure that you knew what all the options. It is not our recommended option.
Right.
The recommended option, I know that Chris has done a lot of work on this. We did check around, to his credit, we checked around to a number of scrap yards to see what the cost would be. There was some slight variation. I think there was a scrap yard in Belleville, I think it was like $80. So we didn't call them back after that. But there was some in Kingston that were slightly elevated at around, I think, $310-ish. The 275 today moved to 306, but in general, we're in the ballpark. There was a slightly elevated one as far as Guelph, which offered a little more, but then you've got to truck 131 tons of steel down the highway.
And you're going to pay.
You'll pay for that. And then the quotes to remove and transport will be higher. But I just wanted to give council a sense that we looked under every rock here. I found out, I researched commodity prices and scrap prices. Turns out there's a real interest in that by a lot of people. And so we looked into all of that to uncover every stone. And I am confident both that staff followed every policy and bylaw that we have. I am confident that the recommendations we have given you is the best advice that we can give you on the direction we've received.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Thank you, Councillor Hicks. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Cowan.
Thank you, through your worship. No, I totally agree. I threw that out there just as a sidebar. I mean, where do you put 131 ton? And you're right, our staff have done an absolutely amazing job on coming up with where they've come up with. And I would definitely support staff recommendation. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Is there anything else? I guess the only question I have is that I know that we followed our policies, our processes, and our procedures. Once we do a recommendation, assuming that the recommendation is going to be the staff recommendation, moving forward, what do we do then? Do we have to do an RFP after then? Should we do an RFP after then? Or if we're going to act on the quotes, how do we select the quote? Do we go with the lowest? Do we go with the quickest? What's the process afterwards, I guess, Mr. Grant?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, the process would be this. So we wouldn't do an RFP before council has made a resolution. You can collect quotes because you're not locking yourself into certain things. You're getting quotes and you're going to decide if you're going to do it. And then we would go with the low bid. That is within Mr. Brown's delegated authority to do that. That's what we would go with, which would be the 40,000. An RFP typically would have to happen after a council resolution has occurred. Our experience is, building in an RFP is not insubstantial work either for staff or the people that are submitting bids to an RFP. That's generally reflected in the price. And I would suggest that given the threshold of spending, RFPs would generally go for a higher body and a higher value of work. The process that we follow with the collection of quotes is in line with the procurement bylaw, and that's why we went that route. And I wouldn't recommend deviating from that route. I don't think you're going to get a better outcome.
Great, thank you, Mr. Grant. Just want to clarify it in my own mind. So, is there anything else, or is there anything that come out of my conversation? If not, Madam Clerk, I'll hand the reins to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the motion before council is that council receive the report for information and that council approve the project plan to be completed in the fall of 2026. Ward 1, Councillor Shank. Ward 2, Councillor Hicks.
Yes.
Ward 3, Councillor Davey.
Yes.
Ward 4, Councillor Norrie.
Yes.
Ward 5, Councillor Martin.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Calver.
Yes.
Mayor Richardson.
Yes.
That motion is carried.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to number 8.4, Growth and Infrastructure Services, former CN Spur line land sale north of Highway 401. Councillor Davey is going to leave the room. Well, thank you, Councillor Norrie. Who's going to start? Mr. Nopes, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Worship, and through you to council. I'd just like to start off discussing this report just by really giving an overview of the process that we've undertaken to date. So the proceedings in considering this land sale are governed by the town's land sale bylaw. So this includes public session reporting on closed session discussions that are held when considering offers to purchase land. So that is specifically contained within the town's land sale bylaw. As a general rule within that bylaw, offers and considerations for disposition of town land assets are presented and discussed in closed session. So following those closed session discussions that were held previously, I just wanted to run through a few dates just to confirm the proceedings for council and the public. So on October 28th, 2025, the land under consideration was declared surplus by council. In November of 2025, the town issued the required public notice as a result of that surplus declaration. Through that process, we only received one response seeking an expression to acquire the lands themselves. On December 9th, we had a closed session discussion, and there was a subsequent open session report on that agenda. March 10th, same proceedings, a closed session discussion and an open session accompanying report. And finally, on March 24th was the most recent closed session discussion and a open session report describing the land that was being discussed. And further to the land sale bylaw itself, all offers to purchase town land assets are to be approved by council by bylaw in open session proceedings. And this is where we are in the process today. So the lands under consideration are Class 2 lands under the bylaw itself. So what Class 2 lands are lands that are inherently not able to be developed independently by a party other than be acquired as a lot addition to an abutting property. So meaning somebody wouldn't be able to buy that piece of property and build something on it because A, it's landlocked, B, the configuration is it's very long and thin. There's no real usability of that land for independent development. It's really only a benefit to an abutting property owner as a Class 2 piece of property as contemplated under the land sale bylaw. The bylaw also gives council the discretion to determine the value of Class 2 lands. And specifically, former rail lines are listed within that discretionary clause. So regarding the proposed land sale matter on the agenda tonight, I offer the following highlights for council and the public. The proposed purchase price for the land itself is $100,000. And just to give a sense of the town's holding costs that have been incurred since 2012, when the town initially acquired the approximately 3.6 kilometers of rail line from CN in 2012, it was for just shy of $45,000. This section of land that was part of that initial transaction represents about 72% of that initial land holding acquisition by the town. So adjusting for inflation, the town's holding costs for this portion of that land is just over $43,000. So the $100,000 valuation would represent a good value transaction as a result. The draft agreements of purchase and sale, there are two on the agenda, and I will get into details of those now. So one, the offer to purchase from Mill Spring Farms to the town for their acquisition of the CN rail line is $100,000, and it would be considered an as-is, where-is conveyance with environmental indemnity in favor of the town and would hold the town harmless for many future claims relating to the condition of the lands, including environmental matters after the transfer. So that's really to safeguard the town's interests. If the land were transferred out of the town's ownership, it was a former rail line and industrial use. Presumably there is contamination. This would safeguard the town's interests into the future. In return, through that acquisition, the town would subsequently acquire a 10-meter wide strip of land across the purchaser's property on the south side of Goodyear Road at the northerly limit of their property. So that 10-meter wide strip would effectively act as a road widening. The total length would be about 900 meters in length and would directly align with the Ad Hoc Trails Committee, one of the proposed routes recommended by the Ad Hoc Trails Committee, as you heard Mr. Grant speak to earlier this evening. So for the town's acquisition of that 10-meter wide, 900-meter long strip of land, it would result in an equivalent per acre value for the transaction of the CN Spur line. So just over $11,000 per acre. That valuation would be applied to this acquisition, which is just over 2 acres. Incorporating survey and legal costs, the town would be looking at about $35,000 to acquire that strip of land along Goodyear Road. And as part of that, a condition of that acquisition would be that the town would have 15 years from the date of acquisition to either construct or be in the process of constructing a trail connected to a broader trail system utilizing that land. So that could take the form of, as Mr. Grant was alluding to previously, a trailhead north of the 401 connecting to a broader trail system in the vicinity, not necessarily just a trail over that subject land itself. It needs to have some connectivity to other lands in the vicinity. So that is an element that has been built into the agreement of purchase and sale. And ultimately what the total net proceeds to the town would be as a result of the transactions would be a net gain for the town of approximately $65,000 after disposition and acquisition. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that council might have.
Thank you, Mr. Nobes. I'm not sure who wants to start. Who wants to start the conversation? Anybody have any questions? Councillor, I think you're, go ahead, Bill. You're up.
Well, first of all, I mean, I've looked at this inside note for a long time now. And the fact that bridge is going to go over the 401, it's just going to be gone. We're not going to have access to that trail over there. So, and the fact that we've got an alternative route and we're going to be able to start a northern route sooner probably because of what we're doing here tonight, if we go that direction, to me is the right thing to do. So I'm going to be in favor of what we've got here in the staff recommendation. So I'm in favor of selling the northern rail right now and purchasing the alternative route because I think that's the best way to go. I think I'm always based all my decisions on viable information. I've got good staff information here and I've made my decision on that. I realize everybody's not in favor of this in the town, but I think it's the best way to go. So I'm in favor of it. So I'll let somebody else speak. I may have to add something later on there. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's not a problem. Councillor Martin, Councillor Deputy Mayor Calvert.
Thank you, through your worship. I want to commend staff on the work they've done on this. And I mean, they've done more than their share of back and forth. It's been a really a good go. This has been a long time in the works to come up with something. Here we have something in our hands, something that's viable, something that's doable. We had asked the ad hoc committee to come up with ideas. We're going with their recommendations. We're doing great. I think everything's exceptional here, and I like staff recommendation. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Calvert. Just before we weigh in, Mike, it's 9:30, so I'm going to begrudgingly look for a motion to go past 10 o'clock. There is some stuff that beyond this one and the next one that we got to get done. It's a little bit time sensitive, so moved by Councillor Hicks, seconded by Councillor Shank. If there's no further comments, questions, concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. And go ahead, Mike.
Well, I'll make this quick then. So based on the facts and the information that we have been given, yeah, I wish the commodity prices were higher on the steel. We beat this thing to death from one end to the other. Yes, stone mills, when the Cataraqui Trail, it didn't go past Newburgh. We looked at all those things. The looked at the bridge going across the 401, no handshake deals, right, Bill? Right. So the point is that we've done everything what everybody has wanted, and everybody at the ad hoc has gone through what the town staff has done, and this is the best solution for everybody, all put together that I can see. You're providing a route finally on the north side. So I think this is a win-win situation for the municipality and everybody concerned. So yeah, I'll move staff recommendation.
Yeah, thanks. Mike, we'll just see if there's any other conversations. I'll weigh in just briefly on a couple points, but is there anything else before we take Councillor Shank's motion? Did you want to say something, or do you want me to go first, Ange? It's more of a technical thing than anything, Mr. Grant, and I don't want to jump ahead to your report later on, but by creating the trailhead, does it show that there's a commitment to not only connecting to something further to the east, but also to connecting with our in-town trail process, right? So this is what I'm thinking is that I think we've had many conversations about this, but we have to show or prove to our provincial partners who are going to redo the 401 that we need a path to get there over the 401. And does creating the trailhead and acquiring this land show the commitment that we need to have some form of route of getting over or under the 401 and give us the ability to, at some point, by some means, connect to the in-town trail system?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll invite Mr. Nobes to weigh in should he have anything to add to that. So I think the answer to that is twofold. Built into the purchase agreement, it is a requirement to connect the land that would be purchased to other trails. And what we have in mind is the Cataraqui Trail and of course the in-town trails. So that's a requirement of the purchase regardless. So that commitment is in place, and I think that demonstrates to the Ministry of Transportation of our intent. Further to that, the trailhead, which we'll talk about, and Council has rightly put at the end of this conversation, that one of the things that we have struggled with is not controlling the design, the timelines, the build out of a 401 widening that we know is coming. We know. We've had those conversations. We know that's what renders the CN Rail Bridge ineffective because it will not be long enough to span 6 lanes. It just won't. It'll have to come out. The trailhead allows us to start on work relatively soon, and to make our efforts to connect to the Cataraqui Trail and to aim to use that trail sooner than later, while negotiations with the MTO occur for getting under the underpass on Highway 41, which would include trail access and utility access, because we have other things we need to get under the road. So the trailhead in and of itself demonstrates a commitment, but it's more of a time commitment. The commitment to connect to other trails, including Cataraqui and the in-town trails, is built exactly right into the purchase agreement. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Mayor. Feel free to add anything, Mr. Nobes.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Grant. Just to further the conversation on discussions with the MTO. So the MTO has a technical advisory committee made up of lower tier and upper tier municipalities that are impacted by the widening project. The topic of active transportation across the 401 is probably the #1 topic in those discussions. So the MTO is hearing loud and clear from all municipalities in those discussions that they want to have the flexibility to cite future locations for pedestrian active transportation routes, either under or over the 401 at existing bridges or existing overpasses, such as Center Street in this case. So in preliminary conversations with the MTO about, can we get the flexibility when you're getting into detailed design to accommodate pedestrian access, either Palace Road, Newburgh Road, Center Street, Deserana Road, all of those are options that the MTO is certainly open to having discussion about. Yes, there would be a modest cost to the town that really wouldn't be, that the MTO really wouldn't make the bridge that much wider to accommodate a pedestrian mode of travel there, but it would be very minimal insofar as safety measures, right? For example, so the MTO is very well aware. They're planning their bridge designs for this specifically, and they're very much open to having those conversations. So they're well aware, and we've been getting our foot in the door per se to ensure that future flexibility.
Okay, I'm quite certain that answers that part of my question. And I think I'll leave the discussion of whether or not there's a rail line that goes through, which could complicate things. I think I'll leave that for now because I don't want to get into the what ifs. So is there anything else before we entertain Councillor Shank's motion? Sorry. Nope, seeing nothing. We'll look for a motion to put it on the floor. Moved by Councillor Hicks. Oh, you have a question? Go ahead, Ange.
I'd just like to acknowledge the Ad Hoc Trails Committee and all the work that's gone into providing community input, because that Ad Hoc Trails Committee was brought forward as a result of a public meeting in May 2023. So anyone that thinks that this is being a rushed decision, I would like you to consider. Keep in mind that this has been front of mind and a hot topic for well over 2 years now. That moving forward tonight, I think, is a step in the right direction, and I think the correct route has been selected. So with that, were you looking for a mover or a seconder?
Yeah. We've got Councillor Shank that's going to be the mover, but we are looking for a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Hicks. I know Deputy Mayor Calver wants to record a vote. Before we do that, is there anything else that anyone wants to say with respect to this matter? And I just want to thank Councillor Hicks for bringing that to the attention. Is that the folks that were on the Ad Hoc Trail Committee committed a large amount of their time and effort to try and find a solution where, and I've said this many times before, that I wondered whether or not there really was a solution to this thing. So I just want to reiterate the sentiments of Councillor Hicks with respect to the amount of work that was done by the Ad Hoc Trail Committee on this. So in any event, I'm going to quit talking. I'm going to hand the reins over to Madam Clerk if there's nothing else. And you're up, Jess.
So the motion on the floor is the staff recommendation as written in the report. Ward 1, Councillor Shank.
Yes.
Ward 2, Councillor Hicks.
Yes.
Ward 4, Councillor Norrie.
Yes.
Ward 5, Councillor Martin.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Calver.
Yes.
Mayor Richardson.
Yes.
The motion's carried.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to, I guess, moving back to 8.2, which is Executive Services Overview of the Greater Napanee Trail Development. And we'll get you off the bench here, Mr. Grant. You're up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate that. I also appreciate this would have been better ordered on the agenda where it is. So just to return, we've gone over sort of the ad hoc committee trails recommendation, which stands as town policy and the standing direction for staff. In light of that, what I would recommend that we identify the route north of the 401 along Goodyear Road, identified by the ad hoc committee on trails as the selected route to connect Greater Napanee to the Cataraqui Trail. And I would also add to the in-town trails. that council authorize staff to identify an interim trailhead on the Goodyear Road route. So the town has the ability to establish a route connecting Greater Napanee to the Cataraqui Trail without having to wait for completion of the 401 expansion project. And that council authorize staff to enter into negotiations with the Ministry of Transportation to identify an underpass configuration on County Road 41 that will allow trail users to move past the 401. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Does anyone have any questions or comments? And I apologize to Councillor Davey. We kind of dipped our toes into this one while you were gone. So we had a brief conversation with respect to the trailhead and what it means as far as getting some form of access through or under the 401. And then Mr. Nope was very gracious to give us an update from the Ministry of Transportation. We can get him to reiterate it, or I guess if you want to watch it later on, you probably can because it's going to be on YouTube. So, okay. Is there any questions or comments with respect to the report that's in front of us or the presentation by Mr. Grant? Seeing none, and I apologize, Mr. Grant, I asked the questions I had on this, so you've already answered them. So do we have anyone? We do have a recommendation that council receive for information. Trails recommendation implementation report. The council identify the route north of the 401 along Goodyear Road, identified by the ad hoc committee on trails as the selected route to connect the Greater Napanee to the Cataraqui Trail. The council authorized staff to identify an interim trailhead on the Goodyear Road route so that the town has the ability to establish a route connecting the Greater Napanee to the Cataraqui Trail without having to wait for the completion of the 401 expansion project. That council authorized staff to enter into negotiations with the Ministry of Transportation to identify an underpass configuration on County Road 41 that will allow trail users to move past the 401. Moved by Councillor Norrie, seconded by Councillor Martin. Is there any further comments, questions, or concerns with respect to that motion? Councillor Hicks.
In keeping with the theme, shall we ask for a recorded vote on this as well?
You're more than welcome to. Madam Clerk, we're going to put you to work one more time. Just to confirm, there's nothing further that anyone has to say with respect to this matter?
Yes.
Seeing none, and Madam Clerk, I will turn the reins over to you. Councillor Shank was just a little early, but that's okay.
Ward 1, Councillor Shank.
Yes.
Ward 2, Councillor Hicks.
Yes.
Ward 3, Councillor Davey.
Yes.
Ward 4, Councillor Norrie.
Yes.
Ward 5, Councillor Martin.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Culver.
Yes.
Mayor Richardson.
Yes.
The motion's carried.
Moving on to, and I know it's getting late, but we do have a couple of matters that we do have to get through before, it's a little bit time sensitive here, so we're going to push on through a little bit anyway. So Growth and Infrastructure Services Surface Treatment Program Contract Award, and Mr. Cuffle, I think you're going to speak to that.
Recommendation.
Oh, I got a question on this one.
What, Greenwood paving?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but
And they're.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I'm here this evening to speak on answer any questions council may have in regards to the surface treatment tendering process that has taken place for our 2026 surface treatment program. This is a joint tendering process with the County of Langston-Ankton and other member municipalities. Upon closing of the tender process, 2 bids were received, one being from the recommended bidder of Greenwood Paving, and the second bid being from Miller Paving. This would be award of the surface treatment contract to Greenwood Paving for 1 year. There is a clause for an extension up to 4 consecutive years that would come back to council if it was deemed that the county, other member municipalities were happy with the work that Greenwood performed. We had the option to extend. And happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Chris. Deputy Mayor Culver.
Thank you, through your worship. I know, Jeff, we've had this conversation more than once. Greenwood they're always the lowest bidder. They're always the lowest bidder. But I've seen roads that have been done. They've had this, and you're gonna have to go through this double surface treatment again and single surface treatment. I'm not a road builder, but I do know when I see roads failing. And again, County Road 9 is failing. It's falling apart. It's falling apart in the center. It's falling apart in the on-traveled center between the two lanes. It's falling apart on the edges and has been since it was done last. I know we always, pick Greenwood paving because they're the cheapest. Is there, like, how are they doing with warranty work? Like, I know they have a warranty, but I mean, we spend a lot of money on roads and resurfacing, and I've had this conversation with Chris at the county, and I'm just wondering if there's a reason they're cheaper. I'm just asking a question. And I know you're doing your job. You put everything out to tender, and you're doing your job, and it's great. I appreciate all the work you've done and all the work you have done. I'm just trying to figure that out. Thank you.
Yeah, through your worship, I'm glad to answer those questions. You have brought up the concerns about County Road 9 in the past. I don't know if it was the work done last year or the surface on County Road 9 that is up for being relaid this year with a single surface over it. That is a county road. They do manage their contracts and in correspondence with the contractor. All I can say is with the town of Greater Napanee roads, we have had nothing but exemplary service from Greenwood Paving. Their product has always been above par. Warranty work is they come in annually, offer to go over all of the roads that were done in the past year. They're still within warranty and have been nothing but forthcoming to correct any identified imperfections or warranty issues. Having said that, I don't believe in my time with the service treatment program that I have ever had to call on warranty for Greenwood paving. In regards to the County Road 9 that was done last year, I know Greenwood came down, did a review of the road surface application last year, and it was deemed to be performing well. There is some aggregate loss that's taking place. That was due to the fog seal application. What it does is it adheres the extra granulars to the road, holds it there for a longer time. They still will release, but it gives them a longer chance to melt mold into the road and become a part of the road surface and combats car traffic from just pushing it off and floating away. This year, we should see that road surface with that application lose the remainder of its aggregate throughout the spring, summer, and start to flush off and become a smoother looking surface. But that is a county road though, and that is the county to deal with that.
Yep, Deputy Mayor Calvert, then I'll go to
Thank
Councilor
you.
Hicks. I think she was.
One more question, through your worship. So are they doing a lesser job for the county and a better job for the town? Or like, if we've never had a problem, I mean, I'm just seeing what I see and what I hear daily. And it's all the way around County Road 9. It's areas that it just did last year. It's areas like we just, and I get it. I'll bring it up with Chris because yes, you're right, absolutely 100% right. It's a county road, but I don't want our roads to fall into the mess that the county roads are in. Thank you.
Yeah. I can just, if you'd like
Yep, go ahead.
to reiterate on it, the other portion of County Road 9, a surface treatment road is one layer of surface treatment is literally one spray of tar and one layer of chipstone. So a double layer is after you reprofile road, remove the entire surface, you will lay a double. Generally, that's the practice amongst all of the county of Langston-Acton. Layer of tar, layer of chip, layer of tar, layer of chip. You're going to have about a half an inch of builded surface. That surface is flexible. It cures itself with heat and cold. It becomes brittle, may crack throughout the spring, the heated days. It will heal itself back together. With it all dependent on traffic volumes is how these roads perform. County Road 9 is on the threshold of probably not being a surface treated road anymore amongst those sections and probably should go to a high class bituminous asphalt surface. So that road would receive a surface. Generally, I shouldn't be speaking for the county, but every 5 years they would be looking at servicing it. The remaining portion of that road is up for surface treatment this year. So you will see edge breakups You will see center line cracking. You will see some surface distortions. And generally, we would be their contractor to go in and provide some hot mix padding in them areas. But
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Councillor Hicks, did you have a question or did Deputy Mayor Calver ask it for you?
I do. Mayor Calver, or Deputy Mayor Calver did make reference to it. And I do understand it is a county road, but we plow the roads. And through no fault of the snowplow or the operator, a good portion of the aggregate has ended up on front lawns, which are nice and level to the road and the shoulder, and people cut the grass and they plant flowers around their mailbox. And there's a good majority of them on the section of the county road. So this I will leave to you gentlemen to bring up at county. I know Deputy Mayor is on the TAC committee, as are you, and you probably talk to Chris Wager every day. When you have elderly residents and the solution is, yeah, go on out to whatchamacallit, their rental and get one of those gravel sweepers. It's not really feasible for somebody maybe in their 80s. So, and I don't think the time of year that the work was done was also conducive to a good job. That, whether that be the county's responsibility or Greenwood was like, yeah, we think we can slide one in here at the end of the season. The line markings are gone, which is dangerous at night. So it's just something I felt that I had to raise when I saw that Greenwood was the preferred bidder for town-owned roads. You're telling me that they do a good job for the town and that we've had no issues, so I will take that at face value. And yes, but if they're the ones that did the work from Fitchett Road out County Road 9, the shoulders are gone. Like in another 2 years, we'll be down to one lane, and it's going to be riding the yellow line because there's no shoulder. Like there's nothing. There's drop-offs like this. If you ever go off the road in the dark, God knows where you'd end up. So that's just my thoughts on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Hicks. Deputy Mayor Calver.
And through your worship, this was also an extraordinary year for snow removal and snow plowing. I had to rake more gravel off my yard than I ever have in all the years there. We got a lot of snow this year, and unfortunately, they have to push the snow back, which in turn pushes the gravel, you know, and I apologize to people, but that's just the way it is. If they don't push it back at the initial, nobody's got a crystal ball to know how much snow we're going to get as to how much narrower the roads would get. So I just want to throw that out there. Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Calver. Councillor Shank.
I've got one question. Does Stone Mills use Miller paving?
yes, Stone Mills does go out for tender on their own, and they utilize Miller paving because they go out for their own tender because they use their own aggregate, and so they price it separately that way.
Okay.
What did I say? But
No, we're not.
we're not going there.
Not tonight.
No, I just, when you go, do you ever look at the comparison of their roads compared to our roads? And just to do, you know what I mean? Is business. You know, you drive on Stone Mills roads and take a look at the tar and chip, and you look at our roads, and then you'll see the proofs in the pudding. You know what I mean? If one's better than the other, then you know it's definitely the contractor. So,
Yeah.
or, you know, stone, whether they get it from here or there. But that's what I would do.
Go ahead, Jeff, all the way in a bit. So.
I have no reservations at all to recommend wholeheartedly Greenwood paving through my experience with the town, being involved in the capital surface treatment program since I believe 2012. I have not had to call on a warranty work through this contractor. We do receive spray sheets that verify their work, the amount of tar that is applied. We do conduct a heavy spray on our roads. The exact same spray as the county and volume that Stone Mills, Loyalist, everyone uses. And we push our roads to the limit. Our program on a surface treated road, after a double, we hit it about 6 years out, then we push it to 8 years out. That is the most extended surface treatment program that I am aware of, but we follow that up from conducting road surface surveys, condition indexes, to verify that we can push them that far, and we do. We stretch the dollar as far as we possibly can, and in doing so, I have no reservations for recommending Greenwood paving.
Thanks. Thanks, Jeff. I think we kind of all have to keep in mind too that County Road 9 as it exists today isn't the same County Road 9 that existed 15 years ago. I know that there's some of us who drive it every day, and the exponential growth that's happening out there is it's really quite amazing. And so I think we have to keep in mind that it's quite possible, and I'm not a roads guy by any stretch of the imagination, but certain types of roads are built for certain types of volumes. And I like what you said earlier is it's quite possible that it's going to go from public school into high school here, because it's going to have to take that next step to have something built that's going to be a little more durable. So again, without having traffic studies and everything else, just as a layman person driving those roads each and every day, County Road 9 is not what it used to be. So I think maybe the option or the idea here is to maybe sort of encourage, and I'm not sure if there's any plans for it in the traffic master plan, but to encourage maybe our partners at the county to assess whether or not that road should get into the big boy category as opposed to the public school category. So in any event, that's just me talking. So is there anything else? Seeing none, we do have a recommendation that council receive for information the growth and infrastructure services surface treatment program contract award report, and further that council award Part C, the town of Greater Napanee portion of the joint surface treatment tender to the County of Livingston and Anthem to the lowest bidder, Greenwood Paving, to the sum of $859,974.43, inclusive of applicable and payable HST. Moved by Councillor Davey, second by Councillor Hicks. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. Growth and infrastructure, purchase of rubber tire excavator. And Jeff, you're going to deal with that one as well?
Yes. So through your worship, also here to give an overview and accept any questions or answer any questions at council. This tendering process was conducted utilizing the canoe procurement program. Through the program, we have received 5 compliant bids for the replacement of a rubber tire and excavator. All excavators were within the 18 to 19 ton class, rubber tired, and all bids received were met the qualifications required, though it was recommended for the purchase of the case WX 160E from JR Brisson Equipment for the sum of $384,527 due to the financial.
Great, thanks, Jeff. Is there any questions with respect to the purchase of the excavator? Seeing none, we do have a recommendation that the council receive for information growth and infrastructure services purchase of rubber tire excavator report, and further council approves the purchase of one case WX 160E from JR Brisson Equipment for the sum of $391,295.82, including the town's payable portion of HST, and further the council approves the use of approximately $15,000, including taxes, of remaining funds to finish outfitting the excavator identified within the financial section of the report, and further the council direct the proceeds of the sale from the current excavator to be applied against the purchase price of the case one at WX 160E to reduce the amount of financing required. Moved by Councillor Norrie, seconded by Councillor Hicks. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that? Oh, you got a question? Brian, go ahead.
Thank you, through your worship. What is the year model of this machine?
This machine, it would be a 2026.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Caliver. Is there anything else before we call for the vote? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Sorry, through your worship, I think you might just have a page cut off there. There is also in the staff recommendation directing staff to bring back a borrowing bylaw to support the required financing. Just wanted to make sure that. Councilor, that was also part of the
You're
motion.
very gracious. It wasn't really cut off. I just didn't go far enough down. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. We've got a mover and a seconder, so the mover and seconder is aware of that. If there's nothing further, well, yep, go ahead.
I don't want to belabor this, but do you have a ballpark idea and of what you're going to sell the other one for? And are you going to put a reserve bid or are you going to put it through Gov Deals or what?
The plan is to put it through Gov Deals when we receive the delivery of the ordered unit. Initial thoughts are anywhere from $75,000 to $110,000.
Yep. And Brisson wouldn't take it in on a trade?
They would take it in on trade. We consulted with many of the dealers. They would put it on a wholesale and
Yeah.
but
all right. So you're
pretty
not
much
gonna get-
everybody told us that there's a good chance we can get better dollars by
All right.
utilizing Gov Deals.
Perfect. Perfect, Jeff. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Councillor Shank. Is there anything else? We do have a motion on the floor. Seeing none, all in favor of the motion that's on the floor, opposed, motion is carried. Just a couple more matters, folks, then we can maybe defer some of these things. So growth and infrastructure service standards. Mr. Nobes, you're going to speak to that. And I just want to remind council that the service standards are just to receive for this evening. It's going to come back at a later date so that we can have more input to what Mr. Nobes is going to explain, sort of Reader's Digest version as to what's in there, I'm sure.
Thank you, Worship. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to be very brief tonight. We've got our draft service levels on the agenda here for public works, utilities, building planning. Really just want council to have access to those drafts and give you the opportunity to peruse through them at your leisure. We would encourage council to reach out to department heads specifically, between now and when we come back at future meetings. Just if anything comes up and you have a specific question, feel free to reach out, at your leisure. Don't need all questions at a future meeting. Just whenever they come up, absolutely feel free to reach out. So we'll be going over, all aspects of environmental services, solid waste, wastewater delivery, public works aspects, planning and building. We'll likely do our environmental services on one meeting, public works on a meeting, and then building and planning coupled together on a separate meeting. But really just wanted to get them out there on an agenda for council to see and give you the opportunity to glance at them and take a look at your leisure until we get to those specific meetings.
Great, thanks, Michael. Is there any questions or comments? Michael, go ahead, Councillor Shank.
Oh, I just like to move staff recommendation, but I think this is an excellent document that you're preparing because it's what we do, why we do it, and how it is delivered. But it gives you also the minimum standards, because how many times we were getting phoned about snow removal, how come this wasn't done? And these are the minimum standards that we have, and this is a public document. So therefore, I think it's communication to the next level too. So thank you.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Mike. Is there anything else? If not, we do have a recommendation to note and receive the, oh, sorry, go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Just before we wrap up on this item, I did just want to take a moment just to commend all of our directors and managers for all of their input on this. So Jeff Cuthell did a lot of work on the public work aspect. Dave Nanton on the building and planning side, Christy Kelly and Andrew Giroir on the utilities side, along with administrative staff as well. So really just wanted to commend all of their efforts to get us to where we are today, which is a very good draft state.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Michael. Councillor Hicks, did you have a comment?
Thank you through you, Your Worship. I just wanted to say thank you because for me, this goes in the Bible folder of where to go for quick and easy information. Like what is the act? You guys did a great job on this. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Hicks. Is there anything else? And then we'll look for a motion. Seeing none, look for a motion to note and receive. Moved by Councillor Hicks, seconded by Councillor Davey. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed, motion is carried. And Executive Services Amendment to Community Grants Policy. And then I think we can defer some stuff. So who is going to speak to this? Oh, Madam Clerk. Whenever you get settled in, Jess, The floor will be yours.
So through your worship, this report is related to a discussion council had at a special meeting on March 20th. There's also a bylaw related to this matter on this agenda, which is why we're hoping to just quickly get through this here. On March 20th, council voted to redirect our funding efforts from the CFFLA into the town's own community initiatives fund going forward. Not for 26, as those funds had already been committed to various community organizations, and to withdraw our capital fund and add it into our own reserve fund that we are developing. The first piece of that is associated with an amendment to the policy, which is attached as a bylaw, which just removes that second funding stream, clarifies that there is one grant funding stream that can be funded both from corporate grants or corporate supportive funding agreements and council budget direction. The second piece of that motion, staff are recommending a revision. While the agreement does technically permit us to withdraw those funds, on further review by legal counsel, the operating requirements for that are more burdensome than $30,000 might be worth. To continue to administer in perpetuity as an alternative, if council is looking to just maintain one dedicated fund. CFFLA has proposed that in either a 1-year or multi-year period, they would distribute that as grants under the original conditions, which was to local within Greater Napanee not-for-profit organizations with the same priority areas. I believe Mr. Grant can offer more details on that conversation if that's council's desire.
Mr. Grant, did you wish to weigh in?
So thank you, and thank you to Madam Clerk for giving a broad overview. No, I think that this is an elegant solution. As the clerk has pointed out, we would be required to manage the $30,000 in the form of a trust. Investments, reporting, all that sort of stuff. That's just not the business we're in. And so the solution allows, we'll be exiting the fund because we have our own, and that they would have those disbursements of the 30,000 that's entirely most likely over 2027 exclusively, but with the opportunity to span into 28 should there be a need to do so, or depending on the applications that come in. It is our recommendation to go with that particular solution in terms of the $30,000 because I don't know that we want to engage in that level of administration over that amount of money.
Great, thanks, Mr. Grant. Is there any questions, Councillor Hicks?
I don't have a question. I think it is, as Mr. Grant stated, an elegant solution, and I would be more than happy to move the staff recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Hicks. We do have a mover, and Deputy Calver, you're going to second it, that council receive for information the Executive Services Amendment to the Community Grants Policy Report, and further council consider an amending bylaw later on in this agenda, and further that council amend the direction from March 20th under Resolution 146/26 to request a withdrawal of the dedicated emerging funds given the operational requirements, and instead endorse the alternate proposal for the Community Foundation for Lennox-Ironton CFLA, which would see the town enter into a new agreement with CFFLA to draw the emerging fund down in its entirety through the community grants awards in 2027. We do have a mover and a seconder. Is there any further comments, questions, or concerns with respect to the motion that's on the floor? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion that's on the floor, opposed, motion's carried. I think at this point, Madam Clerk, we'll let you get back up here, but we've got a matter of 8.9 financial IT services, 8:10, 8:11, 8:12, 8:13. I think all these matters, it is getting kind of late, and there's some of these matters are going to require probably some further conversation. So I think at this point, it's probably prudent that we move these things on to maybe our next available meeting. If that's if they're not, there's no time sensitivity to it.
Yes, Your Worship, that last report was our final time-sensitive matter on this agenda. So if council wanted to have a motion to stop here and move to the next section on the agenda, and everything else will become unfinished business at the beginning of the May 12th agenda.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We do have a mover in Councillor Shank and seconded by Deputy Mayor Calver. Is there any further comments, questions, or concerns with respect to that motion that's on the floor? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion on the floor, opposed, motion's carried. Bylaws. First bylaw, we have bylaw number 2026-0037 to establish tax rates and provide for a collection of taxes for 2026. You moved a first, look for a motion, put it on the floor. Moved by Councillor Norrie, seconded by Deputy Mayor Calver. Ready first, second, and finally passed this 28th day of April, 2026. All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. Bylaw number 2026-0041 to delegate authority during restricted acts period. Motion to put it on the floor, moved by Deputy Mayor Calver, seconded by Councillor Davey. Ready first, second, and finally passed this 26th day of April, 2026. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. Bylaw number 2026-0042 to adopt a public notice policy, moved by Deputy Mayor Calver, second by Councillor Martin. Read a first, second, and finally passed this 28th day of April, 2026. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. Bylaw number 2026-0043 to amend community grants policy. Bylaw number 2023-0068. Motion put on the floor, Councillor Davey, second by Councillor Hicks. Read a first, second, and finally passed this 28th day of April, 2026. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. Bylaw number 2026-0044 to authorize disposition of a closed highway. Motion put on the floor, moved by Councillor Davey, second by Councillor Shank. Read a first, second, and finally passed this 28th day of April, 2026. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. Bylaw number 2026-0045 to authorize disposition of Class 2 land. Look for a motion to put on the floor. Councillor Shank, seconded by Deputy Mayor Calver. Read a first, second, and finally passed this 28th day of April, 2026. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. Information reports from members. Is there any information reports from the members that they would like to share with us this evening? Councillor Hicks.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's not necessarily an information report, but I would just like to publicly thank Shayla Elliott, who unfortunately, well, it's a good news story. She's got some new ventures going, but she's resigned from the Market Square Advisory Committee. So she'll be missed. She was a very positive and insightful member. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Yep, great, great, Councillor Hicks. That way we can skip it when we get to announcements. So it's a long night already. So, but we appreciate that. Thank you. And you're absolutely right. And I know that she was a valuable component to that committee. So. Is there anything else? Seeing none inquiries, is anyone, go ahead, Deputy Mayor Calver.
Thank you, through your worship. I just wonder if we could, at some point, and there's a lot on the plate and a lot on the tables, but I'd like to get a report back sometime, what it would cost us to do our own surface treatment program, like the tar and chip, because back years ago, it used to be done by the county. We used to have the equipment up top in the hill, and I mean, I realize it's all gone, but I mean, is that something we could look at? I mean, the county's got quite a few roads that are county roads. Town's got quite a few roads that are, I'm just wondering if that's something that we could look at, whether it's, next 6 months, next year, whatever, just to see what the cost would be to actually do our own roads. And I think Mr. Cuthell could probably draw upon the knowledge of his father, who used to work for the county, to know the procedures, so.
Yeah, go ahead,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
I think you can comment on it.
If I could provide comment on that now. Through our TAC group, we have explored this option and talked about different ways if we could enter in something like this. The town of Napanee and even the county roads within the town of Napanee, there's not enough kilometers of roads to warrant the purchase of the spreaders and the trucking and everything that would be involved in this. We've done cost rate, comparison analysis and everything. And then if we're sharing equipment with other municipalities, you're into the thing of lending, one person borrowing it and coming back, and maybe it's not in the condition you lent it out in. So it has been tough that way, but we have looked at it, and I don't believe it would be cheaper.
Good enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Calvert. Is there any other inquiries? I just have one inquiry, and thank you, Mr. Grant, for returning. I'm not sure whether I'm going to task you with this or I'll task Mr. Nobes, but we've been very good and very diligent over the course of this term of council about doing open session reports from closed session reports with respect to purchases of land. And I know that when we do our open session reports for purchases, if it's a successful purchase, we release the amount that's been the purchase price, we release the amount or who the purchaser was, et cetera, et cetera. But we don't do the same when there's purchase prices aren't successful. And so what I'm thinking is just in order to make ourselves complete, is it possible that when we do our open session reports that, and we don't have to name any of the persons that were attempting to purchase property, but I think it would be prudent that if we received purchase prices, that we could release that once, we're not going to get into any kind of release of information as negotiations are going on, but once it's done, it's done. And I just think it would be prudent if we, or I think it would be helpful just to show that to the community that we, we are receiving offers and things for certain pieces of property, and we either accept them or not, but just to make the whole reporting process whole. So I don't know if that's possible, or Mr. Nopes can comment on that, but that would be my request. Go ahead, Mike.
And through you, to your worship, yeah, that's absolutely something that we could do. What it would end up ultimately doing is just pushing out the public reporting aspect of our closed session proceedings, just to note again what was discussed. We had undertaken the practice initially when the land sale bylaw came into effect, was when there's a closed session discussion, just to do the open session report on the same agenda, just to really put to rest any concerns around proceedings. But what this could do is we can have a closed session, council makes a determination, and then follow that up at the next meeting of council with the public side of that report, really articulating, if there's further negotiations ongoing, or if a negotiation has ended, for example. Yeah, absolutely, we can certainly do that.
Okay, thanks. Thanks a bunch, Michael. Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Shank.
No. Now, I totally agree with it, but I'm trying to be the devil's advocate, because anytime you come up with an idea or whatever, you kind of go, oh, okay, what's the bad side to it? That's just my makeup. If you post that the property didn't sell and the value of it, is that going to devaluate the property for future possible purchases of that property? You know what I mean? If they, like, you know what I mean? If you said, okay, I want to buy that car and I think the car's worth $20,000, but the best I could, somebody only offered me 10, then the next purchaser goes, well, is there something wrong with it? What am I missing? I'm just being the devil's advocate, throwing this out there, something to ponder, because I agree with what you're trying to do here, Mayor or Terry, is just that if we post that and somebody came in low, is that going to diminish the possibility of getting a higher price for that at a later date? I don't know. Maybe I'm all wrong. I'm just throwing that out there. Something to think about.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Grant.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and happy to have Mr. Nopes add anything to this. So to you, Councillor Shank, I don't think so. I think what it demonstrates is we understand what the value of the land is, that the equity within publicly owned property belongs to the citizens of Greater Napanee, that we aren't willing to take less than what it's worth. And we know what it's worth because we've had it appraised before we go out. And so I think it just represents that people will understand, with the greatest of respect, if you come in low looking for a deal, we're not really able to give the equity that belongs to the citizens of the town. And we're looking to get closer to what the known value of the land would be.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Good, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's all I've got. Is there anything else? Seeing none moves us into notice of motions. Is there any notice of motions that anyone has? Seeing none, new business. Is there any new business? Councillor Norrie.
Thank you, Your Worship. As Chair of the Local Services Board and on behalf of the board, I wish to unfortunately offer our thoughts and prayers to the Sergeant Brandon Malcolm's family, as well as his extended family in the Northumberland detachment of the OPP and all OPP officers across the province. You'll notice on their uniforms, there'll be pins that we all wear. It says heroes in life, not in death. And I want to thank our fire chief for lowering your flags to half staff or half mast in respect to that. So thank you.
Great, thanks. Thank you, Councillor Norrie. I'll ask if there's any other new business and then we'll go into announcements. Okay, Mr. Grant is looking for a motion that we instruct him or staff to, we're gonna have to back it up here with respect to my inquiries. So he's looking for a motion that we instruct him to bring back a report with respect to, well, go ahead, Mr. Grant.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I think that it's just for clarity, I think it's a slight clarification amendment to the land sale bylaw that, you know, in our reporting, that when, even if a matter has been unsuccessful in negotiations, that we will report back on that as well. Right now, the land sale bylaw is very clear that in open session, we provide the details of a successful sale. It's silent on you know, negotiations that aren't successful. And I think adding that amendment would provide the clarity to anyone who's looking at the bylaws so they know council's intent.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. And I know Madam Clerk is typing feverishly for us here, so. Oops. And Madam Clerk, you have something that's for us there?
Yes, through your worship, I believe it would be back to the previously discussed item that council directs staff to bring back a report and draft amendment to the land sale bylaw to extend the public reporting obligation to unsuccessful discussions of unsuccessful land offers as well as successful land offers.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Davey, seconded by Deputy Mayor Calver. There's no further comments, questions, or concerns. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. Announcements. I think we're back into announcements. Go ahead, Councillor Norrie, or have we got it?
No, it's said.
Thank you very much. Is there any other announcements? Seeing none, CEO's remarks, Mr. Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, so for any members of the public who haven't had the opportunity to sign up for newsletters, we do have e-newsletters that are available to members of the public at this point in time, council agendas, as well as council minutes, council highlights about the business of government. Coming up, I believe, and it's approximately about a week, we will also be having a new newsletter that will give general town news for those people that are interested. This was the #1 thing people asked for in a survey that we did in public communications. And so we have that made available, and I encourage people to subscribe.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Go ahead, Councillor Shank.
Do we have a circus going to the Best and Bash in June? No, somebody told me that the other day.
I'm sorry, did you say circus, Councillor?
Yeah, that's what I was told. No. Oh, well, that's reason.
I think we can, we could probably forward that information to Counselor Shank, Chris, if we get it. I'd be quite honest with you. I want to get done tonight, so. Forward calendar, is there anything in the forward calendar anybody would like to talk about or speak to? Seeing none, look for motion, for the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council of the corporation of the town of Greater Napanee. Moved by Councillor Martin, second by Deputy Mayor Calver, read it first, second, and finally passed this 28th day of April, 2026. All in favor of that motion? Opposed, motion's carried. Look for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Deputy Mayor Calver, second by Councillor Davey. If there's no further comments, questions, concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed, motion's carried. Thanks, folks, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.